How the hell are you, man?
Good, man. Getting weird.
So you're a little scruffier than usual, huh?
Yeah, it's weird, man. This quarantine is like I've been able to fix stuff around the house more. Been more of like hands-on, like building stuff and whatever. So I'm
Hell yeah.
like, I'm gonna grow out like a big like caveman construction beard. And by big, dude, I know like this is the most it's ever been my whole life.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a facial hair kind of guy, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've never seen you with facial hair.
It
You've
feels
always
weird. I'm actually gotta cut it tomorrow. I'm doing photos, so like I gotta look clean and baby faced tomorrow. So it was short lived.
Hell
You
yeah,
know.
man. I've been thinking about what I can do for my facial hair because I like being clean shaven, but I
Yeah.
like having a massive beard too. Like I don't like the in between, right? Of
Like,
course, it's
like a crazy Viking one.
yeah, like the two extremes I love. So I told Chris that I was gonna uh, shave from Memorial Day to Labor Day and then just grow it out, and that's what I'll do every year. I'll
The
just
whole
say.
year. Nice. That's a good schedule. That should be good.
Because over the summer, that beard plus all the hair that'll be too much.
Well, I mean, like it kind of goes with your personality and your brand. Like you're always working out. You're always very vibrant, and just having like that loud personality and that loud voice with the beard just kind of makes it like who you are. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like with me with the beard, I look homeless, or I look like I'm all patchy and stuff. Like it doesn't look like I'm supposed to have it. You know what I mean? So
Oh man.
can't do it. I totally forgot you're on the East Coast. I mean, I didn't forget, but I set an alarm on my phone for like 2 o'clock, 1 hour notice until 3 for free yourself. And it's like, oh shit, you're on the East Coast. Totally forgot.
I had it in my head because you're Texas, so you're an hour behind, right?
Yeah, I'm in Central.
So I had it in my head. I was like, if he like says something about it, like, oh, I moved, I had my schedule to 3 o'clock Central Time. I was gonna be like, that's fine, we can just move it back. But
Yeah,
I was like, if he doesn't say anything, then we're good for
no,
3
it's
p.m.
totally
Eastern
cool.
Standard Time.
I woke up an hour ago. I made breakfast, got coffee, and now here I am. So
Hell yeah.
it's all good. I'm a late start guy anyway.
Yeah, my sleep schedule is 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's where the bulk of my work
Really?
gets done, like 2 p.m. to midnight. That's like my golden hours.
See, I'm pushed back a little more. Like I try to wake up early, but like I'll get up around noon or 1. But then I'm up until 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and then depending on what I have to do the next day, I'll sleep till 1, 2, 3 o'clock. But it's just always pushed back. I don't know. I like it. I like it that way because I get text messages less. I get less phone calls. I get less interruptions. Normally the wife goes to sleep, so I can kind of like work on music or work on other stuff from like midnight to 4 in the morning, and no
Mhm.
one bothers me anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Kind of
Yeah,
nice.
man.
You know.
Yeah, I saw some meme. It was like the hardest working people in the world are either waking up at 5 a.m. or going to sleep at 5 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finally someone gets that I can't wake up at 4 a.m. like, because my work schedule was always till midnight. And then by the time I get home, 12:30, 12:45, then like eat food and
Yeah.
then finally pass out by like 2 o'clock. So like I just kept that schedule for this while I'm on quarantine and not working and shit. So
Yeah.
it
Have you
worked.
seen the Kevin Hart documentary?
Which one?
The new one on Netflix, like his little show, his like 6 episode show that he
Oh,
has.
no, I haven't seen that.
I forget what it's called, but I watched all of it like a month ago. But like his work schedule, like the habit that he's created, he's up at like 4:30. He runs, he works out with like a trainer. He does all these meetings. Like he does 90% of his day before 10 a.m. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, killing it. But like, it's pretty wild with that kind of mindset and schedule to be like up at 4. And they're filming him, so maybe like part of it is an act, part of it is like I'm happy to be up at 5 a.m., which in reality he's fucking not. You know.
Well,
Uh,
at least some. I guarantee there's some days where he's like wakes up and he got enough sleep and he's like ready to go, and then
sure.
other days his alarm goes off and he's like, "Fuck this," but I
Yeah.
have to, and he
Yeah.
just does it. You know what I mean? Like that. That's kind of the mindset that develops like with people that work out. It's like people that work out and that, you know, that are jacked and or so lean, and we don't, I mean, I know for me, like, I don't like working out all the fucking time.
Yeah.
It's not every work. Like today, I wrote in my you know, to-do list last night, and I was like, I've only done like a couple yoga sessions and an upper body thing over the past like 5 days. And I was like, Ryan, you have to fucking do leg day. Like, that's your most important. That's the one that you do the most, like, anyway.
Yeah.
Like, why I've been like, I've lost the intensity, because like the intensity turned on for me whenever I would get to the gym. You know,
Yeah.
that's when I can be like, all right, fucking powerlifting time. Like, but here it's like I do all my work. I'm in my room 22 hours of the day. The 2 hours that I'm not is when I'm out in the kitchen, like cooking and shit and eating.
Well, I guess that's another way to look at it is, you know, people that have studios in their house, like me, like you. I talked to some producers and writers that are in Los Angeles, and they have like a lockout studio. They have like a spot where like they have to get up, they have to go to the studio, and then they're at work. And then once they're done with work, they go home. And they're like, that separation has made them so much more productive, because you have to, like, once you're there, you kind of like value your time more because you're in the setting of it. Kind of like the gym, right? Like on the way there, you're like, this sucks, I don't want to be there. And you get there and you're motivated. Where like having the studio, and like, you know, right now I'm in my house, I have a bedroom right now. It's all soundproof in the studio, but like very easily I can get up and go play with the dogs, or I can get up and I can go shower and go just completely be distracted, you know? Yeah. And so like it kind of makes me wonder what it would be like to have an outside setup to where like I'm leaving the house, I can't come back and do this stuff. So I don't know. Must be more productive that way. Speaking of bodybuilding or like working out, I don't know if you know, my sister is a professional bodybuilder.
Really? She competes like IFPB, or I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I'll send you her Instagram, but she's actually in Long Island. She trains all the time, but she always is going to like worlds and different like body sculpting competitions and shit. She's pretty wild. Yeah, but she'll call me or text me, and she'll be at the gym 3 times a day, like at 5 a.m., lunchtime, at night, do different parts of the body and all kinds of crazy schedule. And I'm like, you're insane. She's like, I know. It's
it's something that just like becomes a part of me, like, or it's a lot like when people come to me and they say like, what do I have to eat to get a 6-pack? Like, what do I have to do to get this? And it's like, well, I just learned from talking to another guy who I had on here, diet is actually comes from the Latin word dieta, that means either like lifestyle or like healthy living. It's something like that. It's not just like the food you eat, right? So it has to become a part of your life. So like if someone is doing the standard American diet right now, like soda every day, like fast food, like all that shit, and not eating home cooked meals and stuff, like they're not, you switch them to vegan, like it's not freaking sustainable. You switch them to carnivore, it's not sustainable, because they just lost all, like, think about it, they just lost everything that gives them that dopamine rush, that freaking, that's why it's like the same thing with recovery. Like so many people get into recovery, they were doing like all the drugs that you can imagine, and then to just stop them forever. Like a lot of people relapse, a lot of people do, and then finally after like years and years and years of trying, like people get clean if they, you know, don't freaking die. Like that's the parallel. Is it's obviously like the consequences aren't as dire, right? Like someone shooting heroin in their neck is obviously gonna they got a much better shot at freaking dying than someone who's
eating cheeseburgers or
eating McDonald's every day, you know? But in the long run, like the same health consequences eventually happen. Like the diabetes, the cholesterol, the you know, the cancer, the all that stuff that eventually comes from a lifestyle like that. You know, it's the same pain later on in life than it is in earlier life. And like that's kind of how I equate it. So when I tell someone, it's like, okay, you're drinking 3 sodas a day, let's drink 1 a day.
Yeah.
If you can do that for a month, let's try something else. Like, you know what I mean? But if you can't even sustain that for a month, then
well, I think, you know, when it comes to anything in life, you know, consistency is always the issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so many days with myself, and I know I've heard Justin talk about this with Cosmic and stuff. It's like doing something for a day or a week is an easy task. You know, you're motivated. It's something new that you're doing, whether it be working out, music, relationship, whatever it is. And then after that week, it's like almost like that trial period of like, okay, now you're past this honeymoon phase of, you know, going to the gym for a week. Can you do this day in and day out for years or months or whatever? And that's where people, including myself, you know, I drop stuff all the time because I'm like, I lose the motivation or I lose the drive to keep that same intensity day in and day out all the time. You know, so I think consistency is always like the number one failure for people, you know?
Absolutely. Like, I forget which coach it was that was the coach of Ohio State. And, you know, I'm not going to say who I like in college football, but he was a really successful, really great coach. And he said, someone asked him like how his program has become so successful all the time. And he's like, we don't have any like more special players than this. We don't do anything like more special in our workouts and stuff and our training than say another big school or anything like that. They just do the right things consistently, and they just continue to do them and continue to do them and continue to do them. And his coaching staff, you know, they're recruiting. It's the same type of schedule, and they consistently do the same thing every year, so they get the quality, the caliber of players and motivate them the same way. And that's why, you know, because college football programs, like the turnover with players is every 2 years on average probably. So for a program to be good for a sustainable amount of time, like that's really tough to do. You got to do the right things often enough, consistent enough to build a program like that. And that goes with anything. How long have you been doing music?
Hey, you got to be crazy in this pursuit, I will say.
Hell yeah. And I remember Justin asking you one time how many years you were playing drums, and I forget exactly how many years it was, but then he was like, how many years until you were comfortable enough to go on stage and tour with someone? And it was like such a big difference in the years because you had to practice consistently for a long amount of time. And
well, I mean, I was also super young when I started, so like I couldn't go tour when I was 10 years old, you know. But the gap, which is important too, is like when I started drumming versus when I actually got good enough to like play a show or play in front of people is like a 4-year gap from like picking up sticks at like 8 years old, and then by 12 and 13, I started getting into rooms with other guitarists and bass players and being able to hold my own and being able to be like, okay, I'm gonna hold this beat. This is how fast we're going, whatever. And you know, it's that learning curve of like, you know, you're learning a craft, and I wasn't skillful enough until I had a bunch of years under my belt, you know, to do it. And then even beyond that, playing shows and touring, that didn't come until, you know, probably 10 years after I picked up my first pair of sticks, you know. But that also equates to being so young. So like picking up something now, I could pick up an instrument, pick up a task and focus it and then be ready to do it professionally, you know, in a tenth of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's a testament to you learning how to practice those things, right? Because practicing in itself, forget about what it is a skill. And because you got to practice the right things often enough and know when to move on to the next skill. Like I read a book called The Practicing Mind, and I read like half of it, right? But
you got the gist of it.
But yeah, and what I got out of it was looking at the whole every time is not feasible, right? Well, what I have to do is look at each individual part and get good at each individual part of what I'm trying to do. The author Thomas M. Sterner, I think is his name. He equated it to when he wanted to learn how to golf, and he went to a golf school, and like the swing is you know, it's one thing, right? But it's broken down into each individual parts and stuff, and then you go with each different club. There's a little bit different part of the swing that you got to learn to do it for that specific thing. And he said he would come back every week to the group training with everybody, and the same people were doing the same things and not getting any better. But he figured out that he needed to practice. All right, So if I'm doing if in the with my driver, like I have to the backswing, the first part of it. Like if I get that first part down to where I do the same thing every time, I'm gonna get better. So he was
Right.
doing that part. Then he moved into like when I come back with it, finding the sweet spot of where I can torque my core to get the most power to come through, letting the club do the work too. And he broke it down into so many different phases, and then he eventually got a lot better, and his, you know, in the driving range with the rest of his class and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's man, like there's so many.
I guess it's like, I mean, it's like that with every instrument or any new thing you're learning, you know. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's like trying to learn piano and then you're looking up tutorials of how to play Beethoven symphonies, and you're getting discouraged because you're like, I can't do any of this, and like obviously you can't. So like starting at the first building block of scales and learning some music theory and the finger arpeggiation of like how you're doing your patterns, and those building blocks are everything. You know, I have a buddy who wants to learn how to play drums, and he went out and bought a drum set, and he played for like a week or two, and he's like, dude, I can't get it. I'm like, no shit, you can't get it, man. It's you're playing with your feet, both hands crossed over. You're trying to play in a constant motion of playing. You know, it's constantly going. It's gonna take some time. And he started out at the drum set with the sticks, and here he started on step 6, and didn't start at step 1 of like holding the sticks, rudiments on a pad, like on one drum, and then moving into different drums, and so I think that's also part that comes into like being discouraged of like getting ahead of yourself and looking at things on the bigger scale, and like I'll never get to that bigger part of it, whereas you're not focusing on the little spot in front of you first. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's
That makes perfect sense. And like every time when I was younger and
yeah,
like my best friend started to play the guitar, you know, I go over his house and he's got the guitar, and I take it and I try. He's like, you know, Smoke on the Water is the first song. He's like that everybody learns
of course.
do this. And so dun, 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 dun. So
Yeah,
I'm like, all right, sick, I can do that. And he's like, all right, now let's try plucking, and like I'm doing it, and now I'm starting to feel dumb. Now I'm like, all right. He's like, all right, let's play this, you know, 3-chord progression, and I'm trying to do it, and I'm like, I suck. I'm never gonna be good at guitar. And it's
yeah,
after like 7 minutes holding the guitar. What do I expect? Like, but I was young and I didn't know how to practice to get better at anything besides sports. That's the only thing I knew, but I didn't apply what I knew about learning in sports to music. And then,
yeah.
you know, my whole life I always wanted, you know, I gravitated so much more to Dr. Dre than to Eminem, right? Like I always wanted to be the DJ part. I always saw people scratching. I wanted that, but like I knew turntables were so expensive. I was already into hockey, which is like the most expensive sport, and with everything, and I didn't know how to get into it. And I wanted to go to a school for it, but of course I was in, you know, a regular high school, so I'm not going to go to this, like, because in my head I thought I had to, you know, it was elementary school, middle school, high school, college.
Right. You had a whole path in front of you.
Yeah, like that was like that's what I thought everybody did,
Yeah.
and then like it wasn't until college when I realized, oh, they now, like, because now then as I got older, controllers and stuff started becoming popular, computer
Right.
programs and stuff. It wasn't just you know, I would give anything to have, you know, learned on vinyl and had like crates and crates of vinyls, and
Yeah.
experienced the whole, you know, bringing crates to a gig, right? Like you hear about DJs doing that, but like now it's just like a USB and it's so good. Like,
Yeah.
it's so light and,
You know, it's I guess it's a blessing and a curse. It's made the genre and it's made the culture more accessible to more people, right? Because now people like you, or not people like you, but people that want to DJ or want to get into this world, like for music producing, couldn't do so as easily 10 years ago.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
or let's say someone like me, vinyl would scare me. I don't know anything about vinyl, so the USB or like the digital side of things makes it more appealing to kind of come into. You know what I mean? So like it's a blessing and a curse as time goes on. It kind of opens up the mouth of the river to more people, but then again, it might diminish the value of learning such a craft. You know what I mean? Because everyone's doing it, because everyone now has Logic on their Apple computer because it comes with it, or GarageBand. You know what I mean? So it's like it becomes less special. I feel like now that time has allowed it to be more accessible, I guess. You know what I mean?
There's so many more people that can call themselves a producer, can call themselves a DJ, and
Yeah, which is awesome.
and I like anybody that's ever like just starting out and reaches out because they see that I've been doing it for whatever. Like I'm always willing to help, but like the hardest part for me is this, like, this isn't a hobby, right? Like this isn't the
Yeah.
hobby anymore. Like this is the full time, like what I put when I wake up in the morning and I'm like that self-doubt, that very I'm like, no, I got to get through this because this is what I committed to. And there's a whole nother aspect to, teaching someone about this, and anybody that treats it as a hobby, like, awesome. Like that look, if someone isn't going to go all in, like, I know that's less competition for me, whatever. But the biggest thing is, like, if everybody just, like, that wants to get involved realizes that it's not just like a party, like like that might be like the first reason why people get involved and stuff. But there's so much more that comes into it, and the effort and the time that you got to put in. And like I've been DJing for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like it's been a long run. I've been producing for 3, and only a couple tracks have come out, and we got a couple more I'm pumped about and stuff. But it's you fully committing. Still, it's gonna take so much time. You have the outliers that blow up right away, like the Martin Garrix and stuff. But he was so musically talented. And knows so much about music theory and stuff that and there's no way Animals was the first song he ever made. You know what I mean? Like he made probably hundreds of songs before that, or started hundreds of project files at least. Like so many.
He is so talented and so charismatic and methodical with what he does. Like I have never been in a room with, well, I don't know how should I say this. I've been in a room with talented musicians, people that are like crazy and successful and famous, whatever the hell. And I was lucky enough to be in a room with Martin Garrix a couple months ago with Oz and the band that I'm with. And Brody is friends with Martin, and Martin was in LA just working on music, and we just kind of stopped by the studio. And I'm just a fly on the wall. I don't know him. I don't know his team. I'm a friend of Brody, part of the band. So I'm just like in the back, just watching. And he's shown us all of his music he's working on, and he's working on stuff. What is it? Area 52, Area 51. His side thing that he's doing with a rapper, which more like Outkast, EDM inspired. And then he's showing us stuff that he's doing for radio, and he's working on stuff for Disney, and he's all over the place. Very multifaceted, very talented, and everything he's done, he's so passionate about. He's playing the song, he sits back and just like, you like this? He's just vibing it with the room, vibing with everyone. And having that energy after being successful and wealthy and Grammys and everything like that. He still has, he's what is it, 23, 24 at this point. He still has that same passion. I'm sure he has when he did Animals that he has now with new songs and new music. He's still there grinding. He's still in the studio late at night on a laptop. Obviously in a nice big studio, he's still like a crazy sound, room and monitors and stuff. But he's on a laptop and he's mixing and producing, and it was super inspiring to see him work and to see his enthusiasm and to see the songs that he's like, this is a rough mix, and his rough mix is better than anything I'll ever. He's like, I made this yesterday. I don't know if I'm going to scrap it. And it's like a perfectly written song, perfect melody, counter melody. He's like, I might call Halsey to be on it. I don't know. Like, it might be garbage. and in my mind, I'm like, I would kill for that song. It's amazing. But it's cool to see his level of perfection and, his enthusiasm for his craft. It's pretty cool. It was super awesome to be there.
Hell yeah, man. He there was some video of him like being a guest on a radio show. And they were like, all right, what's like your process like of producing and stuff? And he's like, can we look in on what kind of you do? And he's like, all right, and he pulls up, I forget what DAW it was. This is before I started producing that I had seen this video.
Yeah.
he like pulls up whatever DAW it is and starts writing, and he's like, yeah, I just start with some chords, and within like 5 minutes he's got an amazing melody, an amazing counter melody, like it's a beautiful song. And then he came out with that song not too long after that, and it was just like watching him work, like you see how musically inclined he was, like to the ear, to his music theory, like to so easily know where to start, and the hardest part, and to develop in all of us, like we talk about it in Cosmic, is like anybody can be taught to mix, anybody can be taught to master, but the idea phase is like the hardest thing to teach, because only certain people, like Martin Garrix, like every idea that he has is Tiesto, every idea he has, like all that stuff. And just to see his like that ability while he's got a room full of people watching what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
It's live broadcast on a radio. Like everything that you could think of, like would be like pressure added on to the situation. And he's just gotten, he's in the zone, and he's doing.
Well, I mean, if you're comfortable with music theory, like you're able to, it's almost like a math problem. It's like for everyone, 2 + 2 is 4, and it's very obvious that it's 4. With music theory, if you're in the key of A minor, that's also a relative major of C major, so your chords are going to be, C, E, G, and then your 4, so it's almost like the blueprint is laid out to you if you know it.
Yeah.
So for someone like Martin Garrix, or someone that's very music theory savvy when they're writing their music, it's almost like, I don't know, you have the answers in front of you. So many times I'll write a song and I'm trying to find a vibe. I'm trying to like improvise and trying to find the pieces. Like, oh, that'll work. Oh, that'll work. Whereas I feel like, and I'm just assuming the way that this is Martin Garrix's brain or other people that are like him, their music theory knowledge kind of puts all the pieces in front of them already. Like they have their 100 pieces of like, I'm going to grab this chord, this inversion, this bass line, and they already know how to put it into their DAW. Whereas people like you and I who are not like that, we're like trial and error. Should this be the bass line? Oh no, let's start on a different root note, or let's try a different inversion of the chord. And we're trying to like trial and error, going back and forth with different presets, different sounds. But for them, they could make that happen in their brain just the way that we can do simple math. They can kind of do that chord progression or that song structure, mentally. It's kind of a cool process and like another facet of, creativity, I guess.
Yeah. Dude, Chris, so big guy, the other half of the remote controllers.
Yeah, big guy. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that big guy,
Yeah.
His music theory knowledge is, I don't, like, I haven't been in the studio with like so many different people, so I don't know who's like really good with music theory and stuff. But for me to like sit there and watch him work, like he's someone who grew up playing the piano, grew up playing guitar, like he got a lot of really good music theory, and he's one of the people that can hear a song and play it.
That's awesome. That's insane.
Dude, so like it was I had my buddy Sam Surratt come on and do this too, and he talked about the first time he came over to the studio with us, and he showed us Losing It. It was like Losing It was just coming out, and like I hadn't heard it yet, but Chris had heard it, and Chris was like, yeah, this song is sick. He's like, wait. And he pulls up Ableton and he gets out his little MIDI keyboard that's like this big and puts it down, and he plays the chord progression for it. And me and Sam just look at each other like,
yeah, how do you
like, because Sam and I neither like I don't know anything about. All right, that's minimizing, right? I don't know anywhere near as much as Chris does about music theory.
Sure.
And so for when I like that word duo, we fill in a lot of the stuff that I'm good at, Chris struggles with, and a lot of stuff that Chris is good at, I struggle with, and make a good little match here. And it's been a wild ride over the last 3 years, hanging out with Chris and doing this. And it's also nice to be able to like share it with someone, right? Like being in the studio with someone else and bouncing the ideas off each other, and then being able to like get the gig and like automatically like have him to like be happy about it with, you know what I mean? Like that to share that is great. I can see where how like a band, coming together. I mean, you have a lot more experience with that than I do. That's for sure. I've never been in a band before, but to have the duo, we can.
Well, I'm sure it's a blessing and a curse. I'm in a band now. I'm with Oz, and my whole life I've been in rock bands and in touring bands. It's always 5 members. There's a singer, 2 guitarists, a bass player, a tour manager, merch person, whatever. And on top of that, I worked for bands. So I was like crew or doing playback for other rock bands. So like I've toured a lot. Like I've done 300 shows a year for a couple of years in a row with other bands and stuff. So I've seen all of it. And with that, I've seen the ugliest things come out of people, and I've also seen the best. So it's that give and take. I've seen people that are completely narcissistic and mean and vicious towards their other members and their crew, and then I've seen guys that are like way more successful, way more humble about their success, and that trickles down to the rest of their band and team. So it's like I've seen both of it. And with me and like when I come home and work on my own music, it's not that I don't want to share it with somebody. It's just I don't want to rely on anyone's time schedule, anyone else's pressures in their life. I like having the success and the failure fall on my shoulders, and I've done, and I say that because I've trialed and errored doing it with a band or doing it with that and XYZ. And the reason why Oz works, and right now it's a newer thing for me, but Oz has been going on for a couple of years, is that number one, the guys are a little bit older. They've been through the gauntlet of success and failure to where it's like they know what they want and how they want it. You know what I mean? So that keeps kind of everyone grounded and everyone focused of like, no bullshit. We've been there. We've done that. We fucked that up. Let's not do it this way. Or let's do it this way because now we know from our predecessor bands that this is what happened. And so far with Oz, everyone has a different skill set, obviously with the band. But like Adam, who's a singer, is a crazy vocalist and creative mind where like he's a 9 Inch Nails influenced rock and roller that wants to do EDM and bass music. And that concoction mixed with Adair, who's a guitarist, who's like straight off of like Korn and just grimy, mean guitar playing. And then me on the drums, I'm doing my drum cover stuff and my flashy drums. So like all these ingredients combined make it a special conglomerate of creativity. We're not all metalheads. We're not all EDM guys. And I think that is what makes it special and fun. I think if we were all DJs, if we were 5 DJs, it would be less exciting and more monotonous, So I think having that diversity, like you said, also with Chris, obviously, it's like having you guys are 2 sides of the spectrum with different weaknesses and strengths makes it interesting and beneficial to both y'all to come together and kind of feed off of each other, So
Yeah, and so I absolutely see where you're coming from with seeing the good and the bad of being in the band and both sides of it and stuff. And yes, like linking up schedules is the toughest part with Chris and I. Like we live 20 minutes away from each other. It's not far at all. So
yeah.
like it's but it's still difficult, right? Like we both have our jobs and our families that we have to do during the day, and
Yeah.
so to link the off days, also on our off days, it's the day we also need to take care of other things too. So like to iron that out, we probably on a consistent basis meet up 4 to 8 times a week or a month. Sorry, not a week. And
that's almost every day. That's a lot.
Yeah, right. And so we've been able to do a lot. And then on days that we don't meet up, like we're trying to communicate, sometimes more than others. And but to what you said, how like the different genres that you guys each liked to and came together. Like Chris was on one end of the spectrum and I was on the other. Like when we first got together, like I was all like dubstep rhythm.
Yeah, Chris is all techno, right? He's all like house and techno music, I think, right?
Yeah. And he liked all the genres that I hadn't really, I don't want to say disliked, but hadn't been exposed to enough to appreciate, like techno, like trance, like at the time tech house. Like I was all the heavier like headbanging stuff, and then also like Melbourne bounce and and then like the chain smokers, like the happiest music and the most headbanging like EDM that you can think of. And now it's like I'm all tech house. Like that's like all I want to listen to and play now. It's my favorite. And like bass house and G house, and it's like right there, that mix is like him coming from one side with all that and me coming from the other side, and
then whatever's in the middle is what it creates.
And so it worked out that way. And so how long have you been with Oz?
Actually a year from a week ago. I got like a time hop thing on my Facebook, whatever, of like, you flew to LA, this time last year to do like drum stuff with them. But yeah, it's been a year. They Brody and Adam had messaged me on Instagram, just saying they saw my drum videos, searching just random drummers on Instagram and YouTube, and they said, hey, we like what you're doing, and we need a drummer for our project. Would you be interested? And I was like, fuck yeah, I would love to. And they kind of told me about what the goals were, and I was super on board, how they wanted to pursue it. Because I had been trying to do that myself. I've been trying to do like a drum set DJ EDM thing live, and running into a lot of obstacles with venue capacities, as far as like having a drum set by a DJ booth, and then having the drums being too loud to the audience, and then it has to be like a venue, not like a club. So like a venue would be able to hold me and my drums and mics and that kind of shit. So it became a huge pain in the ass logistically to try and get shows. I couldn't just play. It wouldn't be true to brand to play a DJ booth area with no drum set, because at that point I'd just be a DJ, and that's not how I was branding myself. So they were doing it in a way that was like a full band that had DJ elements. Like we wanted to play big rooms and festivals where it's like they have the stage space for a guitarist and a drummer and a singer and 5 members rocking out, but we have backing tracks with EDM, and we have drops that are heavy, and we're able to play live on top of it. And I fucking hate this quarantine, man. We were ready to play Ultra. We were supposed to be playing Electric Forest this year. All these things got canceled last minute, and it fucking bums us out. The last show we did was opening for Sudden Death at the Palladium in Los Angeles, Valentine's Day, and it was sick. It was exactly, and it sucked because like that was like our 3rd show, and it was our heaviest show because Sudden Death and Murata and all these heavy guys, and the crowd loved us because Adair's whipping his guitar, he's playing Korn bendy riffs, I'm flashy and doing my drum stuff, so we definitely fit visually with that sound. And so we were all on a high. We were like, this is where we belong. This is going to be fucking sick. We're ready for Ultra. We're going to kill it there. And then everything just got shut down. And it sucks.
How many originals do you guys have right now?
So that's a tough one. We have like 30 original songs done. Like I'll send them all to you. But the problem is we can't use almost all of them. So we have like 30 songs. So when I joined the band, they were way more focused on like top 40 radio bass music combined, like, so we were doing stuff in like a Chainsmokers-y kind of way, where it's like heavy drop, but like singer-songwriter kind of verses, and that was a song structure for a lot of songs. So we have like 20 songs that are very pop sensibility structure, verse, chorus, bridge, with big drops and a lot of vocals over them. But we just aren't playing those songs live because I guess that's not where we want to go with the sound,
So like it's like not as heavy as you guys want to.
Not as heavy, and like they both, like, in order to get those songs the plays and the views that we want, it would have to be, or we would like it to be like a label release and a big push promoting a music video and all these other things that we could push to streaming and that kind of stuff. So it's tough. We have those songs, and then all the songs we played at Palladium, we wrote and we mixed while we were at rehearsals. This is pretty nuts. Yeah, so we rehearsed in Vegas for 2 weeks. We had like a lockout rehearsal spot, and as we were rehearsing, we were writing the songs. We were like, well, this drop should have this, and this verse should have that. So we're kind of like morphing the songs, and then we have a engineer DJ guy. His name's Lauren. who also plays guitar, he was doing a lot of the mixing. So as we're writing, he's like, cool, record that, mix it, it's in the song, put in the backing tracks, add a click track, now let's play it. Oh, let's edit. So it's this constant cycle of like, play it, flush it out, make it better, mix it, record it, bring it back into the session, bring it back to live. And we're doing that over and over until we had, 10, 15 songs set to play straight through, But it was all heavy. It was in the sense of like a sudden death, heavy, dirty, fucking mean music,
That
And it was cool.
Blowing my mind. That's awesome. See that? I can't in my head, like with how much time it takes for Chris and I to do one song, and you're talking about like in rehearsals, like making these songs and 15 of them being able to like it's like blowing my mind the amount of talent first off that you guys have, and then how much you guys are on the same page and being able to do that like that.
Well, it's easier because we have it's easier because we have all these members that are talented at their instrument. So it's like for you and Chris, you guys have to figure out your chords, your bass line, your structure. You guys are doing, if you think about it, 30 tasks before you even get to mixing. You got to write it and all the instruments. So for us, I'm writing the drum parts, Adair's writing the guitar parts, Adam's doing the lyrics and vocals, Lauren's doing the mixing. So it's like we all have these different pieces, and so it didn't take long for each one of us to do our own task. And then once they all come together, everyone's task is done. It was easy to mix. So it's like that expedited the process, the whole time. If it was just one person writing these 15 songs, it wouldn't have been done. But all of us adding ideas and editing and feedback and that kind of shit made it doable. And trust me, dude, we were under the wire, and at the very last minute, the day before, we were like, let's cut this song, let's add this song instead. And we're like, shit, okay, we played through it twice, and I'm like, cool, we'll play it tomorrow. And we're like, oh shit. And what's wild about the show is that, yes, a lot of the stuff's in the backing tracks, like we have an Ableton set up on stage, but it's just like the bass lines, and it's like the subs and stuff, but like all the synth stabs, Savi's playing. He has a MIDI controller, he's playing the synth stabs. I'm playing the drums. Adam's really singing live. So it's like if anyone fucks up, we're a band, it's gonna sound like it's fucked up. Whereas as a DJ, you fuck up, it's mostly like a transition. Like you went into a wrong song, wrong BPM. But when the song's playing, it's the song, and you're not gonna fuck that up, because the song's playing. But like for us, every moment could be a mistake if someone drops a pick or if I drop a drumstick or something. So it kind of adds that band intensity of like, this is in real time. We're playing this now, and we're gonna have good and bad shows as a band. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
wow.
It's a great point that you brought up, and it's not only the fact that each individual person is doing a different part, but like the amount of experience that each individual has that got them to that point where that quickly you guys can put that together. Like how many years you've been, experience you have with drums, so that you're able to put together a drum riff while everyone else is working on their part, and so quickly able to put that into the song and make it that like it's that's such a think of all the different things that each individual one of you had to have gone through in your lives to get you to that point.
Oh, for sure.
All come together. Like that's beautiful. Like that to me is and the fact that how much time and effort and work you had to put in to get to the point when someone saw your stuff, your drumming, to reach out to you, to be included in it. Like,
dude, it's wild, and it's super lucky. Like this has happened twice, I think, in my life, where I'll do my drum videos, and my drum videos, my covers are just for me. It was never, even though I've gotten a lot of views, which is sick. I don't care if a video of mine gets no views. It's more of like a me and my craft. This is me doing it. You either like it or you don't. And it was never the sense of like, I wanted to be a YouTube drummer, quote unquote. It just happened to go that way. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep doing it. And dude, the very first, so this Oz thing happened last year. The very first time my YouTube channel, my covers, like paid off or like got me an opportunity was 2012. I was living in New York, off a tour. All the bands I was in either failed or or I quit or got fired or whatever have you. I'm not in any bands. And I get a DM on Twitter from Wes Borland of Limp Bizkit, who's a guitar player. And same shit. He was like, hey, man, I saw your Skrillex cover. It's fucking sick. I have a band called Blacklight Burns. I would love for you to come out to LA and tour with us and record with us and like be a part of this. And I was like, holy shit. I'm like, and this is fucking the crazy painted Wes Borland, talented and iconic. And he's saying that he likes my drum videos. So, my mindset, I was terrified because I was young. I was like 22, 20, 21, 22. So, and these guys, Wes is a lot older, Nick is a lot older, Dennis is a lot older. So I was the baby. I was by far like 10 years younger than everyone. So I was just there green as fuck. I was like, I'm here to play drums. I'm here to just, not fuck up. But I literally flew to LAX, my first time in Los Angeles too. Flew to LAX and I had a music video shoot the next morning. So like I got in at 8 p.m. They're like, all right, cool, we're gonna go to the shoot tomorrow. And it was like a big production shoot. It was like makeup artists and hairstylists, and it was really like Marilyn Manson inspired black paint and gothic and fucking weird. So anyway, he wanted me to play along, and I'm like, I guess I'm gonna go full crazy mode because Wes is hanging upside down, microphone around his throat and nuts. Nick is swinging his guitar. Everyone's acting like an animal. So I had to reciprocate that, and I had to blend in with the band. So super nervous. Internally, outside, I'm a fucking monster. I have face paint on. I'm like eating my drumsticks. I'm just acting like I'm acting part of the part. But anyway, enough of that rant. That came to fruition from my videos and my drumming and my online presence in that way. In the same way that Oz found me, Wes found me, and things have come through the pipeline professionally through that. But it was never meant to be like that place of opportunity that it had turned out to be. You know what I mean?
Is that not the story that you hear over and over again? Like, I just did this because I loved it, and then this happened. Like and it just that's why like
we forget about that all the time. And dude, I tell myself this every day, and other artists and other people in other genres that I talk to, we've all forgotten that we love doing what we're doing, even though it's monotonous and it's stressful and it sucks a lot of the time as far as the failures that you face as an up-and-coming musician or artist. But it's like, you got to remember to have fun. And a long time, years had gone by in my life where I was not having fun. I was just constantly pursuing a paycheck or pursuing opportunities or bands or whatever, or girls or partying. I was pursuing the wrong things, and it made me not love music, and it made me not successful. I was losing friendships, I was losing gigs and all kinds of shit. And fast forward to now, like 5 years later, married and I have a house and I'm working on music, I'm focused. Now I'm like, I'm gonna write the song that I want it to feel good, and I don't care where it goes or how it does. But that's my mindset now, where it wasn't before 5 years ago, creatively doing stuff that like I fuck with. And if you fuck with it, great. If you don't, I'm still gonna do what I want to do. But for years I was like, what kind of song does Ryan want to hear? Because I'm gonna write a song for Ryan. And that's the wrong mindset, because it's like, you got to write a song for yourself and kind of share it with everyone. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. I mean, Chris and I, we teeter that line. We know that house music is like, I don't know if it's the biggest genre in EDM right now, but like a lot, even like the dubstep guys and stuff. Like, Grizz came out with a house track. You see Diplo he started a whole new label called Higher Ground, all dedicated to house music. Like, the way we've kind of, because for the first, I'd say 2 years, we didn't really know, like the whole thing, that I kept promoting was genres are just limitations, right? Like, it was more centered around the fact, like, we needed to find our sound. And like, if we didn't dabble in all these different things, like, and figure out what really like sets us off when we're in the studio. And if we didn't do all of that, we wouldn't have found out that, bass house, G house, tech house is like the direction we want to go with.
That's a good point.
it was because if you told me when I was, in college listening to Skrillex and Excision and Flosstradamus that I
Yeah.
would be a tech house, bass house, G house
Yeah.
producer.
You sold out, dude.
Yeah, I'd be like, what? I would call you insane. I'd be like, no, first off, if anything, if I'm not producing dubstep, I'm producing Melbourne Bounce because I love Australia. I love that Australian sound. I love bouncy, happy, like Dioro, TJR, Timmy Trumpet, all them. Like I that.
Have you been to Australia?
No, that's where I always said if
You should go, man.
went down in the U.S., that's where I'm moving. I was like Sydney, Australia.
I'm pretty sure flights are super cheap now with this whole coronavirus thing. Flights have been all around the world super cheap. You can book it for like December or book it for next year, but like flights now are really inexpensive. So like you should look at Australia for sure.
So even if it's projected that it's not in the quarantine part.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Flights went up now, but like last week or week or two ago, flights to Los Angeles from Houston, which are normally like $300, $400, were like $50.
Yeah, I mean I've heard some wild prices.
It's nuts. And granted, if you book it far enough in advance, you'll probably be out of this quarantine time. But like if you booked it in, let's say May, next month, and it's still quarantine, you would just get refunded or your flight would be canceled or whatever. But to capitalize on this traveling thing, a lot of the airlines are, need customers, they need people. Even if you book a flight for next year, it's totally possible.
Yeah, because they need the money now. You pay for it now, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna schedule it, and then when it happens, I'm gonna pay for it. Like
no, you book your flight now.
Any money they can get now because they're not flying.
But then you pay an extra $10 on Priceline for like trip security or trip insurance, and it's like it gets canceled and you get your money refunded. But dude, real quick on traveling, I don't know if you know about it, but it's a website called Scotch Cheap Flights, and it's what my wife and I use for all of our traveling, and it's fucking a robbery. It's insane. It's called Scott, like my buddy Scott's Cheap Flights. It's a membership thing. It's $20 a year, and what it does is it's a website or algorithm that searches all of the airlines and all of the Kayak and Priceline and every booking website, and it looks for mistake fares. So whenever American Airlines fucks up a flight where like it wasn't supposed to go somewhere, instead of canceling a flight, they'll make the flight 80% off, try and book it, and then they'll re-up the price again. So basically, you're kind of getting in at a moment's notice with flights that are either mistakes or overbooked or underbooked, actually, and you're able to capitalize on it and buy a flight for next to nothing. So like Veronica and I have flown across the world for a tenth of the price. Like we went to Iceland last year for $200 a person round trip. Yeah, went from Houston to LaGuardia to Reykjavik. We've gone to Thailand. We did $500 round trip, each of us, which normally those are like $12 tickets to Bangkok.
Yeah, any international flight, if it's not 4 digits in the price, I'm blown away.
But what's cool about the website is like it's more of like an impulse buy, right? You'll get an email and say, hey Ryan, in the next 48 hours, flights to Australia are $200, and it tells you, hey, from this period, from September to December, like a 4-month period, you can book anytime you want, but it's going to be $300. But you have the next 24 hours to book it. So it's kind of like until they fix the fare, they fix the online numbers to whatever. So like a lot of times I'll get a call from my wife and she's like, hey, flights to Brazil are $100. You want to go? And like, yeah, book it right this second. And it's just like, we'll figure it out in a year from now when we book it, But we've traveled a lot that way. It's a crazy website. And we're able to go a lot of places and not break the bank,
So where does my head go with all of this? I don't travel a lot, but I could use this as a business opportunity. I could buy all these flights
and sell them to people. No, don't take advantage of people.
There's got to be some loophole with that. And
no, of course.
Anyway, no, I Australia is somewhere I really want to go. I'm half freaking Sicilian. I've never been to Italy or Sicily. It's another place I really want to go.
Probably never going back to Italy, unfortunately. That place is
Oh yeah.
the roughest I think it's ever been. Or I don't even know. It's terrible, probably.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the place that's gotten like hit the hardest.
Yeah.
Because they're so close together, and they're talking about like how so many generations live together. So like
Oh, sure. Yeah.
so many people are smokers.
Yeah.
There. And now are you seeing these reports that they're saying nicotine can help with?
Dude,
Like,
I stopped listening to everything because there's so much noise that's happening. It's insane. There's so much bullshit stories and then opinions and then actual facts and then what do you sift through that's factual, and then people that just hate Trump, and then people that are actually sick, and then people that are just trying to milk it for the money. So it's really fucking hard to me as general public who's not super educated in the medical field and like that. I'm just looking at it from afar, and they're just like, stay home, put a face mask on, and then here's these other 100 articles that say otherwise or whatever the fuck, or like either support that idea or don't. And it's like, it's hard to who do you believe? You believe the president and government blindly, or do you believe the CDC blindly, or do you believe your fellow neighbor? Like, because every state's different. You're in Jersey, right, or New York?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're in Jersey. So I know like Manhattan and New York. My dad's in Long Island. My sister's there. So I know New York is pretty fucked, and Manhattan's shut down. It's a huge, tri-state area of millions of people. Whereas Houston, like where we're at, it's not that shut down. It's not that bad at all.
Yeah, it's not as like New York is the most densely populated area, and I think in the U.S. But I'm like, we're so close, but it's not as, Jersey might be the most densely populated state. I think that's something that Jersey has. But there's so many. All I know is that like the things that I can control are like how I'm treating my physical health, my mental health, my nutrition, my the things that I'm doing while I'm in my house. The things like you said, like not turning that TV on to see the news. Like before this, I wasn't a person who watched CNN. Like 5 years ago, I would have said my news is Sports Center, right? Like that's all I would watch. And then over time, it's been the only news that I get is when I'm like listening to a podcast, they talk about something or they have an expert on that's talk. So like that's where my news is, and so that's where I've heard of or my one friend who is trying to justify him smoking cigarettes. So he sends me an article. I guess I shouldn't quit because nicotine is now. And I'm like, this is
terrible. You don't know the sources. You don't know who's writing it.
Yeah.
You don't know.
And it's probably just clickbait. It's like the one person in such and such place didn't stop smoking cigarettes while they were sick, and they got they were someone who was healthy otherwise, and their immune system knocked it out in 5 days instead of 10 days or something. And it's like or it's like there's no studies, but they're looking into it. But the headline was nicotine helps. And
they got you. They click on it and they suck you into the bullshit.
And that's something that's a whole nother issue. Like,
dude, I'm at Walmart and Starbucks almost every day. Nothing's changed. Right? Nothing. I literally get Starbucks. I go running all the time, like 4 times a week. I do like a 5K like loop it's called Memorial in Houston. On the way back, I'll go to Walmart and I'll pick up groceries, or I'll pick up a video game, or I'll pick up whatever the fuck I need at Walmart, and I go to the drive-thru Starbucks, and that's my routine. And then I get back at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. and I'm on music in studio for 10 hours. But it's like, it's maybe Houston's a different sample size, but I guess for being such a liberal state and everyone's like a gun owner and everyone's very like oil and gas influenced and money influenced, the mindset and mentality I think is different here than, let's say, Los Angeles or New York.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. A lot of my friends and family are buckled down, but then again, I have like my brother-in-law's wife, who is a legit doctor in a hospital, is seeing a lot of this on ground level,
Yeah.
and you know, she's seeing a whole different scenario. She's seeing a whole bunch of different things that are not in the news or not publicly talked about, and the actual, you know, that's the person that I trust the most because she's there.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I have a very cynical yet realistic view on this whole thing, and I don't like to share too much because it might not be the most popular opinion. But I'm more, just to give you a quick example, I'm more on the teetering side of like conspiracy bullshit. This is all a plan, and this is really not a real thing. And I'm on that side of the spectrum just because, and it's nothing to do with Trump, nothing to do with the president. It's just something to do with the big brother, you know, looking down on us, you know, and I feel like they fucking got us. They got us by, you know, the man balls and the lady balls. They fucking got us. You know, everyone's getting paid the same. Everyone's got unemployment. Everyone's scared to go outside. Everyone's fucking afraid. People are dying. And it's like, dude, this is too convenient and too of a shitstorm to be real, you know?
The part of it that also like sways into your way of thinking is the fact that it was, you know, right before 6 months before the election, and now like the only person that I thought had a chance of beating Trump in Bernie Sanders dropped out, and then you have, but that, so I also heard this other theory that they were like, Bernie, drop out now because most of the time the president gets reelected. So like it'd be easier to run against someone who's not up for reelection. So
Sure.
so there's that whole, you know, theory.
Well, Bernie's got to survive for another 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
right? But I mean, you know,
I guess.
Biden though, is he gonna survive for another more?
No, I'm the wrong person to talk to about sports and politics because I don't have an opinion on either one of them. But
Right.
my small opinion on politics is that it doesn't matter who the president is. It's just a monkey running the show. You know what I mean? It's just the fucking facade of like
A puppet.
it's a puppet. You know, and
The
powerful.
the reality of my life is that no matter who has been in office,
Nothing's changed.
my life directly has not really been changed.
Well, now, do you think that's because you're just, I'm not going to say well off, but like that your life is unaffected because you're part of the spectrum of society that has their shit together and works hard. And so like, for example, again, I don't know. I'm just putting out, I don't know the facts. Let's say when Obama was in office, or let's say now Trump, the lower half, like the lower class or middle class, how has their life been affected? Because maybe, like, I agree, my life has not been affected for any president since I've been born. You know, I was born and fucking Clinton was getting blowjobs, and I was still just going to the playground, not giving a shit. My life, my dad, my mom, nothing changed. You know, so it's like, am I just naive because I'm in a certain social class, whatever ethnicity, age, gender, that is not affected by those changes? But let's say, like, in different countries, the president really affects your way of living, you know?
Yeah.
Different presidents.
Because in different countries, it's like you're president. It's like there's other things that are running. I mean, again, like you said, like I don't know enough about politics really all I know is, and it probably, you know, as I've been working and stuff, the taxes, all I know is that no matter who's in the office, they're still taking a shit ton of the paycheck that I'm making. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get hyped, see the amount of money that I'm making, and then what I actually get. And like, my tax return has never been like this amazing thing that's like saved me from it. You know what I mean? Like, it's. So
yeah, I feel like if we're in quarantine, I want it to go the next step further. I want them to release the zombies. I want to go into full fucking chaos mode. If we're doing this, let's fucking do it. I think right now the government is just tiptoeing in the water. I'm like, dude, throw me in. Let's fucking go. I'm like, unleash the velociraptors, whatever you guys got behind there.
Right.
Let's rip. You know, if we're gonna go this, and I joke about it, but it's also scary because I'm like, you know, you think if this virus or quarantine goes on for another year, and people get more desperate. And let's say the government doesn't want to pay everyone, and it gets more crazy. Those things are not that far-fetched where people are going to start getting drastic and getting violent and getting like, we all of a sudden we become into like an apocalyptic society where like no job, no money, no aspirations. Everyone's in survival mode.
People fighting for food, people fighting for resources, and
yeah, and not that I want that to happen to society, but I feel like people need, I don't know, a reality check. Of like what's important in life. Not fucking TikTok views.
Exactly.
But like, can you take care of yourself? Can you take care of your family? That kind of mindset. I don't know. Maybe I think I'm getting old now. I'm 30, and I think I just have a whole like midlife crisis of like, survivalism.
I'll be turning 30 in August, so I'm right there with you, man. And
it's not that exciting. It's not that great.
Yeah. I mean, for the past year and a half, I've been calling myself basically 30. Like when I'm talking about it, I'm like, damn, Ryan, you're doing it to yourself. Like,
yeah.
But I was talking about, I forget who I was talking about this with, but like the older I get, the more that I, learn, the more that I realize like how much I really don't know. And when it comes to, to what's really important, my niece comes over and my, my parents are watching her while my sister is taking care of her new twin babies that were born in February. And I can get really lost in, what I have to do on a daily basis, like my workout, my putting this whole podcast together, working on music, working on the social media stuff. And like, if I don't spend time with my niece while she's over here, like I'll regret it. And I've been watching this thing on Netflix. Duncan Trussell came out with a cartoon TV show. It's called The Midnight Gospel, and it's like a podcast, but then it's animated, and it's like a half hour long, and they get into like the deepest of conversation topics like spirituality, death, and but the reason I bring it up is because of the whole death part, and it's how do we get people to appreciate life more, and it's to realize their own mortality at a new level. It's as we get older, we see it like it's closer, right? Like we're 30, it's like I
guess if we're lucky, we're halfway there, I guess.
Right. And so to then realize that I'm able to now be more present with my niece. I'm able to be more present with my mother and father, to cherish, like when I start, like if I'm sitting with them and I'm thinking about some other stuff, or I'm doing something else, or I'm on my phone, like to have that awareness, to be like, this isn't permanent. What's really important is my parents, is my niece, is my sister, is my brother, my brother's whole family, my nephew. Yeah. Like hanging out and spending time with them is way more important. And like the impression that I'm leaving, whenever I'm hanging out with someone, like the way I make them feel, by me being myself and my actions, like focusing on this stuff so much more than I need to get this many likes on this to get me to this point in my career to do this. And when in reality, like you said, when you just focus and were just making what you loved, like these amazing things happened in your career, not when you were focusing on how many views. I need to make this video because I needed to get this many views, because I needed to get to this many people to eventually hopefully land me that job that I want. Like you just started making those YouTube videos because you loved it. You wanted to do it. And that's why it led to it. And
I had I think I posted on Instagram, or posted it somewhere. I think like I don't know when, quarantine or like maybe the new year. But someone told me this. I forget who it was, but it was like, would you still be doing the things you love if you were the last person on earth, right? So if no one was there to see your videos, no one was there to hear your music, no one was there to look at your paintings or or whatever the fuck, would you still be doing it because you're so passionate about it and you're doing it because something in you and your soul makes you do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're like, if the answer isn't yes, if you wouldn't be doing this, then you shouldn't be focused on it so much now when everyone is around to watch you. So it's like, again, looking at myself, in my consciousness of like, if I was the last person, I am legend status. If I'm the last person on earth, would I still be playing drums? Absolutely. And not for the sake of playing shows or recording, but I'm like, something in my soul and in my brain, endorphins, all kind of shit. I get happiness and fulfillment by doing this task with or without anyone else around me, and that goes into a lot of aspects creatively of like, would I be writing these songs knowing that they're not going to get signed, knowing that no one's going to hear them? Would I still be writing them and still feel the way I do about them? And for me, the answer is yes. But for some people that are like a hobbyist versus a career versus whatever the hell, it's like you have to figure out the importance of those things in your life. Like, would you still be working out if you're the last person on earth? I'm sure you would be. Or you're gonna let yourself be a fat slob in the apocalypse. I think you'd be still doing squats even if there's zombies coming at you. You know what I mean?
That is a beautiful, beautiful perspective to have on it. And like as I was reflecting, like as you were speaking and taking in what you were talking about, like for you, the drumming, that's definitely going to be something that you would do if no one was watching, if anything like that. And like for me, like definitely the working out, like definitely the sports, part of me. I've always been, someone who was involved in sports in some way. Like even now, like I'm on, like, we're in quarantine, but we were just starting 2 flag football seasons that every Sunday morning we would have two games. Like I've always been involved in sports in some way. And that just like challenge and that competitiveness, and that I think would be a tough part. Like it'd be a part of me that was missing that competitive part, being alone.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But like when I'm doing, when I'm powerlifting, like the one rep max going up, does nothing for anybody else. That powerlifting, there's no money in me doing powerlifting, right? Like even the guys who have the top records, like no one's paying them to be a powerlifter. Like it's all just like, you have to love it if you want to do it. Like the only thing that might happen, that might result, is that your name is somewhere. But like every record gets broken. Like there's no, you know what I mean? Like no matter what, everyone who's been strong in the past, the training gets better, the nutrition gets better, everything gets better and better, leading to like how many athletes now, so many more are getting more injured because everyone's way stronger and faster now than when they were, in the early 90s, in the 80s and the 70s and football. And then the last thing that I would not the last thing, but to kind of bring it with music, like my favorite thing about this has always been the performing part of it, and not so much the fact that I'm performing in front of everybody, but actually doing the DJing part. Like I don't know how much. I think it would be a lot more of, until I got sick of the music, then I would have to produce more music for me to DJ, and like, you know what I mean? Like, but the learning how to become a better DJ, and like I could spend hours mixing, like just hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of just mixing and trying to find different ways to do this.
I don't have that bug in my brain to do that. It's weird. I mean, it's not weird, but it's interesting to see you passionate about it, and then me, I have zero passion about it, and it's weird it's fucking surreal to see it and not feel anything for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone that's a fucking enthusiast, fucking whatever, fisherman. I'm like, cool, you fish, you're fucking passionate about fishing. I have nothing to do with it, but I acknowledge that over there. I acknowledge that your hard work and enthusiasm. It's wild. I can't.
I totally relate to that. Like sitting. I mean, so I'm a lot more open-minded to those different activities now. Whereas 5 years ago, me, sitting on a boat that's still with a fishing rod out sounded miserable to me because I'm wild and have all this energy and like, but
Yeah.
now like I'm doing a lot more yoga. I meditate all the
Yeah,
time.
you're finding your center.
Yeah. So like now an activity like fishing would be something that would turn me on a little bit because of the calmness to it.
Yeah.
I've had to learn that balance of when to be, you know, unleash the friggin' beast and then to when to relax and to feel the serenity and to feel my surroundings and you know not trying to get all, you know, but it's, you know, Buddhist principles and all this stuff that I'm trying to get more educated on and stuff, because that stuff only leads to increased performance when I'm doing the things that, like,
For sure.
in between
Yeah.
sets, powerlifting, I'm meditating, like I'm breathing. I'm trying to get back down to because that's conserving energy, right? So then the more I can just turn it on when I'm going to do the one rep to freaking to squat and come back up, I can turn on all my energy to get it. And then same with production. The more I can breathe and center myself before I go out onto stage, the less nervous I'll be, the less anxious I'll be.
Dude, you know, I've played so many shows, man, and I still get so stage fright. I get sick to my fucking stomach every time, and I've played every crazy show you can think of, and festivals, and thousands of people, and then nobody, and I get equally as nervous and stomach sick on either side of it. And it sucks. By myself, with a band, DJing, whatever, and it fucking sucks. So, but I love performing. I love people watching me and getting excited, and I do it a lot. And I'm like, cool. The more I do it, the more comfortable I get, and it hasn't, dude. I've been playing shows for 15 years at this point, and I'm still like, I did like Club La Vila in Panama City Beach like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, and I played every Friday and Saturday like an hour DJ set and drumming, and twice I threw up before I went on stage because I'm like nervous. Yeah, oh yeah, it's super embarrassing. I'm like in my green room warming up, fucking punching. I'm like, let's go, drumstick, in-ears in. I'm just like, and like, all right, let's go on stage. And then once I'm on stage, it's like it's weird. It's like I black out. I have an hour and 15, and I look at the clock. I'm like, oh shit, I'm done in 5 minutes. And it's just like, I just not go through the motions, but it's almost like my body or my fear is on autopilot. I'm just doing it. I'm just playing drums. I'm DJing. I'm crowd hyping. I'm on a microphone. I'm jumping, and none of it is nervous. It's just the before part that just fucking cripples me. You know, even at the Palladium show with Oz 2 months ago, same shit. You know, and it's I just hope it gets better. I mean, maybe I need like a tour. Maybe I need like every day's a show, and then by 2 weeks, you know, you have 15 shows under your belt with the same set and the same crew. Then you're like comfortable, like, okay, it's like Groundhog's Day. It's like it's the same shit, you know. But that's what it would take.
One thing that's helped me, just the fact that I'm aware of it, is the more I prep for a set, the more comfortable I am going into it.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I know, like I'm, you know, how many years and years of experience do you have, you know, going into it? And
doesn't matter.
But for me, whenever I'm, you know, we've got a gig, you know, planned or whatever, when Chris and I are on the same page and we have our playlist and we know, you know, what songs we want to that because they're the same key, we know what songs will go good together. Like
Yeah.
we've never played a set exactly how we've prepped it, right? Like that's never happened to me.
Yeah.
But also we don't, you know, we haven't played a stage that's big enough that where we have crazy awesome visuals, crazy pyros, crazy lighting, crazy lasers, where we would have to have a prepared set. So all of that is all on the same page and our team is all on the same page, right? We haven't gotten to that level yet. So, but I'll never forget the first like big opening gig that Chris and I got. It was 2 years ago. It was for opening for the bingo players. And I'm sitting there and I'm expecting nerves, like I already projected that like I'm gonna be nervous and like we like I'm thinking about all the things that could happen if we mess up, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And we're about to go on, and I just have the biggest smile on my face. And one of our friends that came with us, and he looked at me and he was like, "Are you nervous, man?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, I'm like,
Fucking lucky.
I'm like, this is the moment that I've been preparing for the last 8
My
months
whole
of my
life.
Like,
Yeah.
like this is it. Like, this is the easy part to me. The producing music's the hardest shit part for me.
The easy part is after the show, where you can fucking chill and celebrate. And do you play sober? Do you drink it all before you play?
No, I'm 5.5 years.
Oh fuck yeah!
So
So I don't drink at all either. I can't just because I learned a long time ago that any alcohol in me playing drums, my limbs don't want to lock in with each other. So I've learned like
okay.
2 shots of Jameson, very, very minimal amount. My feet want to be a little bit slower than my hands. And so, like, I'm not as locked in on the beat. And so it's like it's a shit show. So I always play sober. And my whole band or other people I'm with are always drinking, loosening the nerves, getting loose and fun. And I'm like, focused as fuck. And I'm like super. And then afterwards, I'll celebrate, have a drink, and relax. But, you know, I don't have that luxury with a lot of artists that get fucked up and, like, play like on drugs and crazy shit, and like they're so in the zone and not worried because they're under the influence. But like, no, I gotta play stone cold sober, super analytical of myself and what's going on around me, and it's weird. I think the band side made me nervous, but DJing is worse because one, I'm by myself up there, so it's like a good set, bad set, it's my fault either way. And I've hated depending on electronics for my show to work. So like I've played a show where my controller shits the bed mid-song and everything fucking blacks, and it's just like I'm an asshole. Or like the laptop crashes. You know, the show-stopping moments have happened, and you're by yourself up there, and you're like, what do I do? I got to reset. I'm fucking embarrassed. Keep the momentum going. Got to start up. And of course, it happens to everyone. It happens to the Skrillex level guys all the time. And but it's like for them, they're Skrillex. They're gonna get paid. People think it's funny. They're gonna keep going. They're gonna kill their set. For me, who's trying to prove themselves, and maybe let's say open for an artist, or the crowd's like, you know, do they fuck with me or they don't? That laptop shutting down or CDJ crashing, whatever the fuck, completely tarnishes any kind of impression I was trying to make. Because even if I had a killer set beforehand, even afterwards, it's like, oh, this dude's an amateur because this fucked up, you know? And that demoralizes the hell out of me, you know?
Absolutely. So speaking of, you know, the biggest stage that I guess, maybe not the biggest stage, but the one that I was like most nervous about was playing at the Renegade stage at Electric Forest here, not this past summer, the summer before. I went down with a bunch of guys that had the buses that turned into stages, and we connected our buses and all this stuff, and it was awesome. So I'm scheduled to be like the opening DJ for the after hours set of the last night of the festival. So I'm like so pumped for this all weekend. You know, we spent probably half the time at the Renegade stages, and maybe like a quarter of the time prepping everything, and then like a quarter of the time in the festival actually like experiencing the DJs and sets and stuff. And so I'm about to start, and we've got 3 CDJs, and the one on the left side is just shitting the freaking bed. And I'm freaking out because, like, at that point, too, CDJs were not new to me, but I'm a lot more comfortable on the controller still than I am on the CDJs.
Sure.
So I'm like, what do I freaking do? And then it, like, something just, like came over me, and it's just like, it doesn't matter, Ryan. Like, but it helped that when I started, there was 3 people in front of the bus. As I got into the groove and started playing more, 15 minutes into the set, there's 50 people. And I'm like, oh shit, like there's some people actually like hearing me. Because I knew I was the opener for the Renegade stage. So Mala was finishing his set, as I was starting. So, you know what I mean? Like people still
Yeah.
in it's the closing sets of the festival. So, you know, then 30 minutes into the set, there's like 150 people and I'm
Awesome.
not realizing it because I know how focused I have to be because I'm so much more comfortable on controllers than I am on CDJs. So
Yeah.
I'm so focused. And then every now I'm looking up and it's just like more and more people. And I'm like, I forget that the one CDJ isn't working. I'm just working on these two and just using the two faders over here. And just like when I let go and just kind of like lived in the moment, it everything went fine. Like, but right away I'm like freaking out because this one CDJ on, and I'm used to, you know, going back and forth on either side of the mixer, and but to staying on this side and just going on these, it was like just a testament to like you have to be, you know, you have to let everything kind of just like happen. Like you can only prepare so much, and you can only, you know, have so much, you know, experience with something. There's always a wrench that can be thrown in the
Yeah, of course.
into it, you know what I mean?
I'm not a DJ or vinyl enthusiast the way that you are, or that most DJs are, right? So I only started DJing or started doing this because I wanted to play solo. So like this is like 4 years ago. I didn't want to be in a band, but I want to be my own thing, my own artist and brand and that kind of shit. I was like, how can I do that? I'm writing songs that are electronic based. How do I perform them? I don't want a fucking band, but I also don't want to put everything in the backing tracks. So I was trying to like problem solve. So I was like, okay, cool. I can be a DJ, but I don't like, but I'm not Skrillex. I don't want to be like a crazy producer. This is like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I don't want to be a producer. I just want to like play my tracks off a laptop, play drums and guitar live, and make it like a band thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that morphed into like, okay, I can get club gigs, but then the clubs want to hear danceable music. They don't want to hear rock ballads or whatever the fuck I want to play. So then I had to like morph with what the demand was. So I was getting, you know, Houston at the time, they had the Super Bowl like 3 years ago. And so I was friends with a lot of the clubs in Houston. They were doing after parties for the Super Bowl. And so I was able to play like the four major big nightclubs around the time. And I had to play trap music and all like this Southern rap remixes and all that stuff, and stuff that I'm not familiar with nor wanted to play, but the gig called for it. And in order to progress me, I had to do that. So I had to learn to DJ, and I fucking couldn't. And I don't have CDJs, and I have like a regular Pioneer DDJ-SR, like basic level controller. So like 90%, I'm telling you this, and most people know this, but most of my sets are pre-recorded or pre-produced and organized in Logic.
Mm-hmm.
Because for two reasons. One is because I'm playing drums to all of it. So
Yeah.
on my right side, I have my click track, which is mapped out to the rest of my set. So I literally press play on both sides, and you know my cues on my right, that's going to my in-ear pack in my click, so I can play along to the drums. And my left side are all my songs and effects and stuff that I'm fucking around with on the track, speeding up, slowing down, that kind of shit. But in no time is anyone like, hey, let me hear that Beyonce song, because I can't throw it in because I'm not fucking DJing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This is a performance, a show. Think of it like a band. I'm going to play my set and I'm getting the fuck off. I'm not like playing to the crowd, unfortunately. So that there's been times where that's helped me, and times where that's obviously been a negative thing, where like the crowd's not feeling what I'm playing, but it's like, dude, the train's left the station. This is what we're playing for the next 45 minutes. Or like, I'm going to, you know, I think I've done a good job of like keeping the energy up and the transitions up to where like, if this were to be played live, would this translate? You know, I don't go down a 15-minute wormhole of like dubstep remixes to, in case the crowd's like not feeling it. It's like, well, you know, 10 minutes of this because I'm not changing shit because it's locked in with the click track. So I try to like go back and forth and kind of like appease everyone, including myself. So, you know, with that in mind, I never really tried pushing myself as a DJ. Yes, I had songs signed with like Frankenstein, and I pursued it with Cosmic, but even that was a stepping stone of figuring out my brand and figuring out what I want to be and how I want to execute it. So it's like, I've discovered that I didn't want to be an electronic artist in the sense where like you're pursuing, or a DJ or a festival's pursuing. I want to do a more musician performance type show where it's like I'm playing the guitar, I'm playing drums, I'm playing piano, I'm singing, I'm doing like the instruments, And sure, I'll have a backing Ableton session that does like the backing subs and the bass lines and shit, but it's not in a club setting. It's not like in a danceable sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really want to pursue the anti-pop, you know, Joji, sad, fucking music type genre, you know?
All right. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to piss myself. I'll be right back.
Just do it on camera, man.
Oh, man.
Dude,
That was...
you feel better?
That was a hell of a piss.
Dude, so frustrating. As you went to the bathroom, I checked my email real quick. There's another artist named Dylan Taylor. She's like a girl, like a Nashville singer-songwriter girl. I get a fucking email saying, hey, man, prepare for your release. You're about to release Messing Around by Dylan Taylor. It's a picture of her and her fucking artwork. And her and I have not had this problem a couple times. And she's using different distribution companies and stuff. I'm like, listen, I'm trying. At first, I'm nice. And then I'm like, again, a little frustrated. Now I'm like, dude, this is like the third song. Not only is it hurting your release, but like, I don't care if it's on my fucking Spotify for a week or two. It's whatever. It'll get taken down. And I'm not getting a crazy amount of followers to listen to it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
for her, I'm like, dude, why, how are you not on top of this ball? Like, why would you want your song released on my Spotify fucking playlist by accident? Every time I've done my fucking release with DistroKid or TuneCore or any distro, it literally shows you like, hey, these are the Dylan Taylor accounts. Which one is yours? And it shows mine and my picture. It shows her and her picture. And it shows another two that are not, like no picture, that kind of shit. I'm like, oh, I'm the guy with the fucking mohawk. That's my channel. Put it on that. I don't understand why she can't do the same and be like, hey, this is my song. This is my playlist, my fucking account. It should go on that. You know? Oh, I'm going to have a very stiff phone call with her when I get off this.
Like, how do you, if you see it that way on no matter what distro you're using, that's just like, that's got to be carelessness on whoever is in charge of releasing her stuff, you know,
whether it be her label or her management or someone. But it's like, number one, it's not in her best interest to be doing that. And I don't know.
And she's aware. If this is the third time this is happening, she's aware of you. So like, you should make a like, oh, by the way, there is another Dylan Taylor. Make sure that we're releasing it to my Spotify, to my this, to the, like. Literally,
I'm gonna tell her to call me. But I think this happened November. Same shit. I literally said, hey, what distro are you using? You got a song coming out. It came to my email because my Spotify is linked to my email. She said she's got like a manager under some label that's doing it through DistroKid. I'm like, literally what you said. Tell that guy that obviously there are multiple Dylan Taylors that needs to go into the right account, period. You know? Because anything you plan on doing, promoting it, fucking music video, whatever you want to do, or playlist, gone to shit because it's going on my account, you know? You should just, and you should tell her she needs to change the spelling of her name. I'm Dylan Taylor. and you know what? It's like, and she has 200 monthly listeners. So it's a smaller account, and she's having these issues. Not that mine's, you know, very much bigger or whatever, but it's like, I'm like singer-songwriter, it's totally different genres. She's like Nashville female singer acoustic act. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I got like upside down crosses on my fucking artwork and shit like that, you know? Like, your fan base doesn't want to fuck around with any other deal. So I don't know. I'm gonna call her and be nice about it, because I know this part of the business, no one really prepares you for. Like, I feel like the creating music and the playing it is the fun part, and then this whole other bullshit is where people fail and get frustrated, including myself. You know, when it comes to the publishing and the distribution and then the promotion and then the ads and the music video, all those other things. And I wanted to ask you, how funny is it when you talk to friends or family and they have no concept of what you do or how you execute it? That disconnect is so fucking hilarious, and it's so hard to explain, and sometimes I really don't ever. It's like, you know, you're never going to get it. And it's how fucking wild is that gap between what you do, like that meme, what I do, what people think I do. And it's like the two opposite photos.
Or it's the iceberg with the 10% and the
Yeah,
90.
they're like, oh, this is your song, sick. And then the iceberg is like mixing it, sleepless nights, fucking music video, promotions, artwork, and just like, Jesus. It's wild. That disconnect is so fucking crazy.
The biggest, the thing that's been so gratifying with that part of it is knowing that like all the bullshit that I have to do, that's what I like. The fun part, like you said, is in studio with Chris and on stage with Chris. Like
Of course.
that's the part that's fun. And but dealing with all that other stuff, like I've been able to get my like sense of humor in through my Instagram and so like making a hump day post and like a tip post on Tuesday and bring in like the spirituality and the mindfulness and on Monday and I've been able to have fun with that part, so like at least it doesn't feel like a chore to do certain parts of it. Now, what part don't I like? Sitting down, going through different record labels, seeing what record label my track fits under, which we kind of we have an idea for a goal when we start a song, what label we want it to kind of go to, because we know what sound we're going for. We don't venture too far away from the genre that we're doing, right?
Yeah.
But to sit down and like write those emails and make sure they're timed to go out at the right time and to reach out to promoters and like do all the managerial stuff, the promotion stuff, like all that stuff is it's tougher, but like you said, like that separates the people who are doing it like for a hobby versus like a profession. And for a long time, for the first 6-7 years of me doing this, it was, but what's your real job?
Of course.
And it's just like, all right, well, I got to stick with this long enough and keep doing X, Y, and Z so that people stop asking that question, right? Because now people, when they come to me, they ask me how my music is doing, like how's that stuff. They don't.
They know that this is your shit. This is what.
There's no question of what my career path is and what. So that's been a nice development from committing to it for 10 years of my life. And the quote of what is it, or actually 8 or 9 years. So what is it? It takes 10 years to become an overnight success, or it takes 20 years to become an overnight success, or whatever. Like
10,000 hours to be good, to be like a master or something.
Yeah, master, and whatever. That's like the 10,000 hour rule, like all that stuff. Like, it's been.
I mean, music right now doesn't pay any bills for me.
Nope.
Not even YouTube. Nothing. For years, I was touring with other artists as a drum tech and playback technician. So I was working for rock bands like 30 Seconds to Mars and Sleeping with Sirens and Bleachers and all those other bands where I was getting paid for drum teching them, which means I'm just setting up the drums, cleaning them, taking care of the drummer, and then I would be in charge of their playback rig, whether it be Logic or Pro Tools or Ableton, and set up all their backing tracks and shit like that. So I would get paid a weekly salary. I'll be out with them for multiple tours all across the world, be gone for 300 days, and that was my paycheck. And so to do that was sick. I traveled. I made a bunch of money. I was able to save money because once you're on the road, you're not spending a lot of it because you're getting catering and all your travel is paid for, all your hotels are paid for. So you're not – any money you spend is what you want to spend. If you want to go to the movie theaters that day, you're spending that money. But I saved a lot. But all my music was on hold, or anything I wanted to pursue musically wasn't existent, because once you're like on tour and you're loading in, you're doing a sound check for the other band, you do the show, you get, after the show's done, you shower, you back on the bus, and you're like, I'm fucking exhausted. I don't want to start writing music at midnight and then I gotta wake up at 8 a.m. to go load in for the next show. And so there was no time for myself. So I did 3 years of that or 2 years of that for other artists, and it was fucking sick. I traveled, saved a bunch of money, and then around that time, my wife and I wanted to buy a house. I got a really good bartending gig at a place in Houston, who's like a really big, successful bar. So I was like, cool, I can stay at home, sleep in my own bed. I can make the same amount of money being home bartending that I would be on tour. And I get to be in this room, in this studio on my days off or like in the mornings, whatever the fuck. So that was my transition a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, where like my job is bartending, but that pays my mortgage and pays my fucking bills and my music gear that I want. But I'm in this room for 12 hours a day now, which I didn't get to have that it wasn't accessible to me on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the bartending and the paying the bills like that is just, you know, justified, you know, it's ends to, you know, means to an end kind of thing, where this is where I'm putting the hours and time in now with this, to where I don't have to do the bartending thing, obviously, to pay the bills. You know, that's the goal. And I feel like I wouldn't have this time if I didn't make that transition from not touring to kind of take a step back to do this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man.
That's that fucking vaping shit, man. I'll get you.
CBD. It's at least CBD instead of all the
H2O fucking whatever.
At least the only ingredient is the hemp oil instead of VG and PG and flavorings and whatever. Way better than the stuff that I used to do. You know,
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about sports, drugs, or DJing. I don't know anything about any three of those.
All three of my favorite things. No.
Or politics. I don't know anything about that shit. I don't know.
Yeah. My I made a leap 2 years ago too. I was working at a gym or a fitness center, and I was selling gym memberships and moving up the ladder, and I eventually became like assistant manager, and and they transferred me to another facility that needed more help, and because I was doing so well, and I came to a point. I was 27 years old, and I was just like, I was coming into work, and I became that person that like I didn't like what I did at all. Like I hated where my life was, because I had taken Cosmic at this point now, and like I was like, all right, well, now I have the tools to like really pursue music as a career instead of how I was doing it before, and so I finally like put in my 2 weeks notice, like quit the right way at this place, and I even bought a membership to stay because it's a great gym, and but then I fell into the because I had saved up enough money to pay the bills for a couple months, and I was like, I'm just gonna bet on myself. I got to go all in, and like music will pay the bills, and I'll just get enough gigs and all this stuff, and then I quickly realized that it wasn't that my efforts didn't go like unnoticed. Like I'm able to do so much more now, but I told myself I wouldn't go back into a place where like, cause that was like establishing a career at the other job. And
for sure.
And I was like, no, like if I go into another job like that, then it's going to turn into like, that's my plan B. And like, I'm not going to go as hard as I can with plan A.
Is that your phone going off, Ryan, or is that mine?
No.
Is your phone going off? I'm getting iMessage fucking hits super loud.
Oh, you know what? My phone's on Do Not Disturb, but the messaging app is probably.
Sorry, I'm hearing you and I'm sharing ping, fucking loud ass message tones.
Yeah. Can I go on Do Not Disturb on my laptop? Is that a...
Should be able to cancel out of iMessage. I don't know.
Yeah, that's getting annoying. I quit out of it. Hopefully that'll...
Yeah. Yeah, definitely Cosmic has expedited and focused. I don't know. I guess I took Cosmic, I guess a year and a half ago, or like not this fall, but last fall. Yeah. And my mind was like this, all around like, I want to do that. This is how I'm doing this. This is wrong. And it's just, I had so many things, and Cosmic was able to like bring me into like, this is what has to be done, and this is how it has to be done. With Justin and with Zach, obviously different sides of the spectrum when it comes to what they're talking about. but they were able to, I know for me and just for you and for everyone else, they kind of like hone in on a more tactical approach of getting songs signed and mixing them and branding. And my mindset that was way more of a wider side of things to try and fix stuff got narrower in a good way of like, this is what you should be focused on, not this bullshit, not that bullshit, not this bullshit, but like this. And what's tough now with what I'm doing is that I'm not in the world where you guys are as far as getting songs signed to labels, as well as, where Frankenstein was for me on my first release. So now I'm trying to take the cosmic things I learned from Justin, which are obviously invaluable in branding and marketing and stuff, and trying to apply them to a band or an anti-pop thing that I'm trying to do, execution. You know what I mean? Because I feel like the whole cosmic structure based it on getting songs signed, support from other DJs, and it's obviously a big electronic support system. Yeah. But if you're not in that genre, like at all, like if you're not in EDM, you can obviously use a lot of the tools that Justin talks about and the branding and social media and content, but you're missing a huge fucking piece of the puzzle of like getting songs signed to kind of get to the next level. So I'm trying to figure out what that step is for me so that way I can keep going to the next release and next thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's because so many people have like, Jesus Christ. I turned it on. I just literally set do not disturb from 6 a.m. to 5:59 a.m.
It's all good. It wasn't happening before. Something new.
There's a whole group chat that is going the fuck off right now for Aftershock.
You can mute it, I guess. You either mute it on your phone, probably would work. Like I still have a lot of my cosmic notes here in my notebook that I look at all the time when it comes to like Zach talking about mixing things or a mastering chain or some shit. So a lot of the techniques and stuff I think are applicable to every genre. I'm not saying that cosmic is now not as beneficial to me now, but I've had to adapt and reassess my notes in like a different perspective. You know what I mean? Like, okay, now I'm not getting the song signed on this label by label basis. How can I exchange this step for something that applies to me?
Yeah, it's because that's what I was getting at. The fact that people, like when I say I got signed, they're like, "Oh, what record label are you signed to?" And it's like, well, I didn't. It's different with electronic music. Like we got a track signed. Like it's very different. And like it's the only Jesus Christ. I
go to iMessage on your fucking computer and you just mute it. Because maybe like your phone is do not disturb and it's like quiet and shit, but your computer is what's fucking you up. Now
I'm like, please send one more message so I can see if it goes off.
Yeah. See if it worked.
Well, one thing about the way that I'm doing this is that anything that we do, I'm going to edit beforehand and send to you for approval and all that. So this whole
can be cut out.
Might just get cut out.
It's all good. Boom.
Yes, a message came in and didn't go off. All right, awesome. All right, so
yeah, the getting songs signed and labels signed, it's because being in the band world, getting signed is like life changing. You get a record deal. What?
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
I fucking heard it.
Oh, last time it was like super loud and crazy. This is not as bad now.
If it goes off again, I'm telling them that they need to remove me from the group chat until I'm done this fucking podcast. All right. Well, I got another message on my phone, so we'll see if it winds up being on
the laptop.
Oh, so the whole difference with all the different methods of getting signed is there. So when it comes to like do you mean for the band or do you mean like your own music?
Oh no, I'm saying no, for like my music. Like I'm working on songs myself. I have a couple songs done. I have artwork. I'm getting ready to figure out a release schedule and kind of get back into the Spotify playlisting and that kind of shit. But a big step of that is getting songs signed. You know, obviously EDM, getting it signed to a label exponentially helps your cause on getting support and getting plays and that kind of shit. So self-releasing is always like a plan B, always, or it should be.
Yeah.
So I don't have that as part of my formula. So now I'm nervous and cautious of like, how do I properly execute a release in this formula? You know what I mean? So I'm trying to take my cosmic notes, trying to figure out how to do it with this. I don't know if you're familiar with like the anti-pop playlist that's on Spotify, but it's full of very eclectic, Billie Eilish, Joji style, dark, sad music, but it's got like a sense of authenticity to where it's like it's not mixed and mastered professionally. A lot of it, you know, if you take a minute to check it out, it's cool vibes. It's I don't know. I try to explain, but that's the demographic and sound that I'm going towards in a sense with my music. So how do you get that signed? A lot of them are signed to major labels or signed to actual record deals and record agreements. They're not signing per track. So
man, I can like create
yeah.
like crazy big.
So Cosmic is invaluable. I fucking love it. I talk to everyone about it. But you have to be a certain kind of artist to capitalize or really absorb the things that Justin and Zach have to say. Zach obviously being the mixing side of things, which is a huge electronic approach, right? We're talking about low end and bass and sub and all of the stuff that Zach's talking about. But if I wanted to record Nine Inch Nails, there are a lot of things that are applicable to the other side of the spectrum, which again, I'm sure Zach's a great engineer. He could totally fucking handle a band, but we don't talk about tracking guitars and tracking a drum set, you know, in the class, which is not what it's meant for. So, and the same thing with Justin. We talk about branding and we talk about all kinds of cool, crazy shit to do for Spotify playlists and getting support from artists. But it's like with my song, no one's going to want to play it because it's not the demographic that I'm going towards. You know what I mean? So I have like this love, not even a hate, but I have like a love-like relationship of like, I fucking love Cosmic. I love Justin. I love Zach. I love the community. And it's so invaluable, but I have to find a new way to apply it to my brand, you know?
Because the music that you're playing, those artists that play it out don't play other people's music. They play their own.
Exactly.
Like Billie Eilish does not sit up there DJing songs that are similar, right? Like, and then the labels and stuff that we're talking about getting tracks signed to don't really sign this type of music. So it's the bigger labels and the only, obviously I'm not in that world, so I don't know where my head goes with is like getting a record, either a publishing deal where you're a producer on the record label and you do stuff for them when they send you stuff. But then that's not putting out your own music, right? Like you're a credited producer on something that they have on the label.
Even publishing deals are that gets thrown around a lot. Where it's like, oh, get a publishing deal, dude. You got to have so many songs written, and you got to have so many of a particular song kind of written. My buddy is Jordan from the Ready Set and Cameron Walker, and they're talented as fuck. They write in LA all the time, and they have like a publishing agreement of some kind, but their writing technique is totally different than what you and I can even think about doing. They like write really quick ideas that are for a specific genre of music, very specific, optimistic, commercial type sound, and they send it off cool, and it's just part of their database, and they have hundreds of songs, you know, and that's like a whole full-time job in itself. It's like being an artist and having a publishing deal are two different things. You either pursue one or the other.
Absolutely.
You know? That's the way I perceived it, you know.
So and then you have the only other thing is that you get big enough where a big label comes to you and says we want to release an album with you, right? Like,
sure.
So I know this one guy who had a band. He's the lead singer of the band, where record labels weren't biting on their stuff.
Yeah.
But they self-released and they built their brand up to the point where then they got they got a deal and they went that route.
Yeah.
So I mean,
That's
like
that's
where they
that's
still,
the most
yeah,
that's
they
the
sold
most natural formula.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Because they sold 100,000 um, albums without a distribution, without like all on their
Yeah.
own. So
That's
like,
fucking huge.
yeah. So of course, a record label is going to be like, oh no, we want that. like so
Yes.
that
So with these genres and these artists, that seems to be the formula, is that you have to make enough noise and you have to have a big enough presence online to even get their attention. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's more, I guess it's more like a long-term play versus like a short-term, where it's like you get a song signed EDM style, you promote it for a month, but that cycle for that song is over in 8 weeks or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By the time you get support, it charts on Beatport, Spotify playlist, and then you're on to the next song. And so, yes, it's so tough because I'm treading these waters as we're talking about it. I'm treading these waters with Cosmic behind me as far as taking the class, and then what I want to do in front of me. And so it's like, yes, EDM has release a song a month, has a very consistent schedule and very, very fast. And I feel like all music is taking that approach. All genres are taking that, release music as fast as possible, all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And I'm not trying to be like, it's tough for me, or like I'm sure it's tough for everyone in the music industry. It's tough for everyone in these genres. But I think my avenue is I have to make a big enough splash, get enough views on music videos, and have enough content promoted, and my brand of being a musician, all this other stuff. My biggest obstacle right now is that everyone knows me as a drummer. My Instagram and YouTube is, oh, Dylan's a drummer. And whereas that's fucking 100% true, I'm trying to be like, well, also now I sing and I play guitar and I play all these other instruments. I'm more valuable to the creative world than just being the drummer. And it sucks because I try to release stuff and all my drummer fans that are on my Instagram or YouTube are like, where the fuck are your drum covers? I don't want to see you sing about this sad song. And I'm like, this is what I really want to do. Come on, support me. I'll do the fucking dubstep drum covers, but this is the shit that this is my career, what I want to do, But
you're having the effect when a producer or an artist comes out with X amount of things, and then they want to do the thing that's different from all the other things. Like when Skrillex came out with his Recess album, like he got backlash, but then eventually won a Grammy for the album that has Recess on. I forget the name of it. Ooh, that I should know that, but but it was because it was so different. Like it wasn't all hardcore dubstep, like Bangarang and all that shit.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm like, from this side, like being someone who's an artist and going through that whole, being able to tread the waters of all the different genres and see what we really like. And I'm the person that when an artist does something different, I'm more intrigued to hear it because I know it's something that they really want to do and they're not doing it because someone's telling them to do.
Yeah.
And it's like they're expressing their creativity in another way now. And so it's intriguing to me, someone who's an artist who likes all different genres and stuff, but to, the general population, it seems that's not the popular opinion when someone comes out with something else that's different than what they've been putting out. Well, right.
That's easier too, though. Cause like using Skrillex as an example, or any artist for that matter, that rebrands themselves. It's like they already have the notoriety and the shows and the booking agent and the manager and the label, and they have a whole team behind them to kind of transition. So if Skrillex wakes up tomorrow and he's like, yo, I want to be in a country band, he has the money, the label, the resources, probably the motivation, the studio knowledge. He has all these other factors that will help him transition his brand into doing that. Will he lose a ton of his current fans? Of course, but he'll gain more. And so it's like, once you already have that base level of notoriety and fame and success and whatever the fuck follower, whatever you want to call it, I feel like transitioning brands or changing your sound is way easier,
Yeah. I mean, so using Skrillex as another example, I mean, not as many people as I would I mean, to me, it seems like common knowledge now that he was a lead singer in From First to Last before he did Skrillex,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
But to most people, that's not common knowledge that he was in it, and unless
Yeah.
you're a big Skrillex fan, right? So like, what he had to do is start from square one with a different name to release a completely different sound, and then people found out like, oh shit, like that's the dude that was the lead singer from First to Last, and
Yeah.
so you know, a name change was something that was big, and like of course Dylan Taylor drums is pretty self-explanatory that it's drums, and but your Spotify name is just Dylan Taylor, right? Because that's your name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dylan Taylor drums was a way to establish your brand in on the YouTube, on Instagram, on that stuff, and
Yeah, for sure.
and I don't like. Have you ever dabbled in like a name change or a can you
Yeah.
at this point, like, would changing your Instagram handle or your YouTube page name to just Dylan Taylor or Dylan Taylor Music, or have you ever thought about anything like that? Or
I have. Uh, it's a tough one. Not that I'm against the idea of like that, and I don't mind calling myself or calling whatever I'm doing a different name. Like it could be called fucking Bookshelf. My brand is now called Bookshelf. It's nothing to do with Dylan Taylor. I started a new Instagram. I started from scratch. Whatever you want to call it. On the grand scheme of things, when it comes to like the music that I want to release and the followers that I have, it's like I'm still on step one. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
So it's like for me to rebrand is not like a level of a Calvin Harris where like he's got to change all these things and everything. He's fucked. But for me, it's like I'm humble enough to be like, I've come this far. I shouldn't change. Like I'll fucking change it tomorrow if I think that's what is best for my brand. I'll change the fucking name. It's not. I'm not Pepsi trying to change my name to a different soda name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm self-aware of that. I'm humble enough to be like, I will change it if it need to be. But on the other side of my brain is like, I don't think I need to rebrand or change the name yet, unless someone in a bigger position tells me to.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sounds weird, but like someone like Justin, who I respect 1,000%, or a record label that knows what the fuck they're talking about. Like, hey, we'll release this, but not under Dylan Taylor. We want to make it a fucking noun name or whatever, Or if Justin's like, hey, your name is what's not working or some shit, But to me, I don't feel like I have an unbiased opinion of myself to make that decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm Dylan Taylor, I'm gonna want to keep my name Dylan Taylor. That's my opinion,
Yeah.
But the outside world might be like, who gives a fuck? Just call yourself whatever, Mr. Candleman. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just yelling at stuff that's in my room. It's like, I'll be called fucking hand. But
your name choices are cracking me up with Bookshelf and Mr. Candleman.
I'm just yelling at stuff that's around me. But that's how insignificant it is. Like to me, I want to be called that because that's my name. But so like, I don't think I'm eligible to make that kind of decision. I need someone else to make it for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
I mean? It's like when I took Cosmic originally, and I kept telling, like, Justin was like, because I didn't have an Instagram. I was against social media. I was the guy that like didn't want to do any of it. And Justin was like, if you want a career in music, you're gonna make social media. You're gonna make Instagram. You're gonna do all that. And then I got caught up with the name. I'm like, and back then, I'm thinking exactly where my brain was at then. I was like, I want the Skrillex type name. I want the Nightmare type name. Like, I want something that's one name that's me.
Abrasive and, powerful.
Yeah. And Justin's like, look, Ryan, Janni, 2 syllables, 2 syllables. One under the other. Ryan Janni fits great on a bill. Like all these different, like, he's like, it's an Irish first name and an Italian last name, and it's original because he came through Ellis Island. So like, it's very, when you type in Ryan Janni, like, you're one of the things that comes up already on Google, and I'm just like, all this time, like trying to figure out like what is my name gonna be. I used to go by Jersey Devil because I'm the biggest Devils fan and the biggest fan of Jersey in the world. Like that's what I and
Yeah.
but he's like, look what happens when I type in Jersey Devil on the Google, and like 15 people that call themselves the Jersey Devil
Yeah.
are coming up, and then all the stories of the Jersey Devil, and then of course the NHL team, and he was like, Ryan, like he's like, you have a marketing, person's dream of a name, like you need to just go with that, like you don't need, you're making it more difficult than it needs to be, and so like I went with that, and then the whole thing with the remote controllers and says a whole nother story and stuff, but like I wanted so badly. I was in the opposite, like you want to be so badly Dylan Taylor, and thinking about maybe a different thing where I was like, I want something else.
Yeah, I don't want to be this name.
And I didn't want to be, but that's a whole nother, psychological thing too, I think, where I was like, I was running away from, what I was or wasn't. That's a whole nother deep conversation.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's something because I am getting ready to gear up for a whole nother set of releases. Like I'm looking at it right now. I have two songs that are mixed and mastered with artwork next to them that I've already created. And then I have music video treatments for both next to them. So I have everything lined up, and it's kind of like I have it on my desktop where it's like, here's the music, here's the artwork, music video. When I say music video, it's like I need some visual content that goes along with the so either music video or lyric video or whatever the fuck, that's that content.
Yeah.
And then I have like a game plan PDF of like playlists that's going to be pursued with this. Different things that, color schemes of like the release, like this color scheme is going to be all about yellow and old rotary phones. And this is like the theme of like the 6 items, and I have 2 songs that are laid out like that, ready to go. And I'm working on a 3rd one right now. And I'm just trying to figure out before I start this train, because once it starts, I don't want to stop. I want to be consistent, right? Yeah. So I want to release something in May and June and July and August. Before I get too far into this, I want to have 3 or 4 songs ready to go. So that way I know like my music rent is paid, mentally. My music creative rent is paid until August, or July, And so I'm trying to figure out my formula now. Do I do this under Dylan Taylor and rebuild up the name, or do I do a name change, or all that kind of shit? Before I start hitting the ground running, I want to have a good setup, kind of like the meme that Justin and Cosmic just released with the whole like the runners at the race and the dude's all the way pulled back. He's like, you're just ready for a great launch, essentially. Like you're not late to the race. You're just ready for a big launch where everyone's like at the starting line. You're kind of like pulled back. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to pull myself back with the fucking bungee cord. So that way when I hit the ground with this new music, I can go further with what I have lined up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And I mean, just like Justin said with my name, I mean, your name, Dylan Taylor. Like,
yeah, it works for sure.
There's nothing more there's nothing more you than coming out with whatever you want, and if you're gonna start coming out with this type of music and stuff, then the people who really support you through the Dylan Taylor drums thing are going to continue to support you, right? And the listening to what happens is you have the people that stand out are the people that are the ones that are like, what the fuck is this? Like this isn't Dylan Taylor drums, and so it's that tough part of like, how do we keep going with what's in our heart and what we want to come out with and all this, and then figuring out exactly like how you want to come out with these songs, whether it be because now if you have that 3rd and 4th song and it's all with this whole with this whole plan to release it with all the visuals, all the artwork, all the everything that you have.
Yeah.
Well, if you went to a label with that, all 4 of those, and being like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and you have like because your YouTube page has like a good following, right? Like it's
yeah. It's got like 120,000 subscribers on it.
So like, you go
Yeah.
to if you go to a maybe not Atlantic, but maybe like there's a label right now that is working with the Killers and Demi Lovato and stuff, that is a branch off of Universal that's called Island Records.
Oh,
Um,
I know all these labels,
yeah,
and I've knocked on a lot of these labels' doors already. You know, uh, and a lot of the feedback that I've gotten from these kind of that label route when it comes to record deal and stuff. Uh, it's the same thing like anything else. And Justin is 100% right all the time, even with things that I don't want to hear. He's very fucking accurate. But when I pursue, when I had the All Is Fair Is Love and Nightmares, that Pink record that I had last year, and I had 10 songs, and it was a fucking vibe, and I had interludes, and I played everything, and I sang on it, I mixed and mastered it. I was fucking proud as shit. I still am proud as shit of that record. But originally, I pitched that to labels and booking agents and managers, and I sent out 50 to 75 different emails to different people at a landing page. I went full on balls of like, I need to get someone part of my team to help expose this.
mhm.
And a lot of the feedback I got back was, we love the brand, we love the music, we love what you're doing, but the other side is that we don't see enough consistency out of you to get behind you yet. So it was like I got friend zoned. They were like, hey, we like you, but I want you to be my friend right now. And I'm like, fuck, I'm looking for a serious girlfriend, and I want you to be a girlfriend. So they totally friend zoned me in a professional, obviously, very honest and accurate way, which they were right. I was not releasing a bunch of consistent music. I had this big record. I had not released anything in like 6 months. My social media content was lackluster and inconsistent. So they were right. In my mindset, and this comes back to us like growing up and kind of being more humble, is like, I'm thinking the music will trump the social media consistency. And what sucks is that 2020, it's about the social media presence, and the viralness of the success of that shit is more important sometimes, or like that kind of shit is more important than the music.
Yeah.
And I still am trying to sway the tides into like, hey, fuck that, I don't post videos every week, but check out this dope song I wrote, and hopefully someone in some label or management's like we'll sign them, we'll get on the road, we'll have the music, and we'll just get the content going as this kind of goes. But everyone wants to see the content going before they even look at that other bullshit,
Like a whole portfolio that's put together before you get going with all the stuff that you want to get.
They want,
And your past
you
history of, you've already been doing this and it's already been consistent and new. So that
it's a tough one.
hard enough for me to pitch to a label that has 5,000 followers on Instagram. I can't imagine the like, to pitch to them is one thing. To pitch to Island Records and Atlantic and stuff like that with darker pop music and stuff is.
Well,
They don't need anybody, right? They don't
need, number one, they don't fucking need you or me or anything.
Yeah,
So it's like, you 100% need them. And trust me, I'm not sitting over here thinking like, I need a record deal or else I'll never be successful. 2020 is the perfect time and example to be like, you don't need a label to be successful in the music industry. You need a booking agent, or you need something to get you out on the road. And I've learned that touring is the most beneficial to your fan base, most lucrative, or it can be if you don't fuck it up. You can definitely make a lot of money touring. You can connect with your fans on a face-to-face basis. So a booking agent is, to me, more valuable than a record deal where they try to fuck you and they give you a 360 deal and they take all your money and they just mold you into what they want to be. But getting like a good agent that believes in you and say, hey, I'm going to put you opening for XYZ artists. We're going to be doing House of Blues run. That's the fucking goal. So that way you're playing to consistent crowds and you're building your brand that way. So that's what I like. I talk to my buddy Zach and Sean all the time. I'm like,
it's open. Hold on, my knee. Come here.
I hear a sleepy girl.
Yeah. My niece and her penguin.
Hello. You just wake up?
This is my friend Dylan. You say hi to Dylan?
You just wake up from a nap? She doesn't want to be in your podcast.
Right here.
Hello.
Say hi. I don't think she gets it yet. She's so cute. Look at her. All right, I'm gonna go bring you back to Abuelita and Grandadio, okay? Oh well.
It's all good. She's adorable. To wrap up my point and to not drive myself into a circle fucking talking about this goes back to the original point that you and I had of like doing something that you love regardless of the outcome or what people expect. So yeah, like part of my brain's like, what would a label want? What do I need to do to get these opportunities? Blah blah blah. But then the other part of my brain, which I'm trying to lean towards, is like, fuck all that. I'm gonna release this music. I'm gonna create a video that I like. I'm gonna promote it the way I want to. And if someone wants to be a part of it, they'll let me know, or I'll pursue it once there's interest. But it's like to appease this side of the brain with what they want is gonna take away from what's making me happy and what's worth. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to focus more on that. I'm like, I have songs that I like. I'm gonna promote it the way I want to and see what happens. You know.
And like we said before, you know, you keep doing what's in your heart, and the stuff that what's all the best things that's happened in your music career, in your life. It's stuff that's unexpected, right? And
yeah,
because you were doing what you loved. And the you know, as you know, I'm someone who's like, I'm trying to plan. I'm trying to, like, just like you with everything that you, I'm trying to plan. I'm writing my to-do list every day, all these things. But you know, a quote that I really like right now is, as you start to walk the path, the way appears. And you know, just continuing to do what we love, you know, the unexpected things that can come out of it can be amazing. And
yeah,
and when another quote that I love is the definition of success is you're doing exactly what you love. And what's the, I forget, it's from Think and Grow Rich, and it just talks about, it's another book. It talks about if you're already like doing what, like, who's successful? Well, a mom that wanted to be a mom that is being a great mom is successful. Someone who wanted to be a teacher and is working really hard at becoming a teacher, and is, you know, doing that every week, like, they're a successful person. And so we're already a success because we're on the path of what we want to do and what we love, not the teacher who like became a teacher because her mom was a teacher and their mom was a teacher, and they did it just because they thought that's what they needed to do. Like, that person doesn't feel the same level of success as the person who's, you know, walking the path of the stuff that they really want to do. And like, we just sat here and talked for, like, you know, 25 minutes about how, oh man, we don't know the path that you need to do. And then you brought it back, and it's like, well, no matter what, like, if you love what you're doing, like,
it doesn't matter what the
all
path
right, like, then we make plans and God laughs is like a nice, you know, quote that I like to hear too. I'm not a religious person at all, and I'm not, you know, I'm a spiritual person.
I'm wearing a hat that says unholy on it.
Yeah, right. Like, but thing, like, every time that I write my to-do list, like, there's 7 other things that I also get done, and then I maybe get 7 of the 10 things done that were on my list, because I have the plan of, you know, the order that I'm going to do, but I never get it done in that order. I never.
Yeah.
So it's you know, we, as long as we're doing what feels good inside here, like, it'll all work out. I'm a very big believer in that.
What's something that you're aware of now that you're older and more experienced that you know you fucked up in the past, like a professional move? Like, is there something that weighs over you of like, this was a turning point that I went left that I totally should have gone right, and it's changed the path for me so drastically that, you know, I have to live with it, you know, without getting too deep and like that. But is there a turning point in the Ryan Janni life and career that changed it all?
I mean,
for better or for worse?
I mean, there hasn't been you know, other than like being in front of certain artists and like, oh man, like I wish that I like pulled the trigger and said, but I've always, because like I had a lot of gigs at Noto and in Philly and opened for a lot of bigger guys. I didn't get to have the conversation that I wanted to with them.
Yeah.
But also that was out of respect for them, because how many gigs do these big guys do all the time with all these opening DJs and everyone's saying, listen to my music, listen to my music, when they already have this crazy schedule where they're doing 300 shows a year and trying to come out and produce their own music and all that. So there's artists that I was in front of that, you know, if only I said one thing, like I could, but at the same time,
Totally
like,
different.
you know, it happened the way it was supposed to happen. Cause like when I'm going to be able to have those conversations, like I'll be in the position to have those conversations. Instead of it being like, I'm this person who, you know, cause all those opening gigs like happened before we released our first track. Like it was, we got booked because we were able to sell tickets and we were, you know, we were a duo, right? Like that's the reality of it. It wasn't because we were some successful DJs that were coming in and getting these opening bookings. And I was good with shaking the right hands and getting into those gigs. But now, like, as we, you know, Game Over hit number 8 on the Bass House chart, and we got some support from the top 100 DJs and Mariana Bo and Wolfpack, and so now we've got a little bit more of the, you know, the superlatives on the EPK looks nice with the opening gigs and all these different things. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy. That was 3 different startings to the
Yeah.
I'm very happy that I didn't go the route of, here's a USB stick, I need to give this to the guy that I'm opening for because they're gonna, you know, change my life because our stuff is so good. Like I'm happy I didn't do that. I'm very lucky that before I kind of went anywhere with music, like I took Cosmic. So a lot of those things that you might hear about someone, you know, beating their head against the wall, doing the wrong thing for so long, and then they're kind of shown the way. I was kind of shown the way from the beginning with Cosmic, you know, three and a half, almost 4 years ago now when I took it.
Yeah. Wait,
I did Cosmic and then I did Syndicate, so I did both.
Oh, you were in Cosmic and then you and I were in Syndicate together?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's how we did it.
That's what it was. Yeah, I was in Syndicate.
Yeah, we had 20 people in our. I think. Were you in with like Mark Lip and?
Dude,
right after.
It was fucking Joey Mancini. It was.
Yeah.
It was a Joey team.
Our crew. Chris D'Souza was in it.
Yeah, Chris was in it, obviously.
Yeah. We were in the same. There's so many people that were in that group.
I think Manfredi, right? Was Manchin in there?
I'm not sure. He might have been the next crew.
Yeah, might have been the next crew. I don't remember, but yeah, I remember that Syndicate class. And I forgot that you took Cosmic before and then did Syndicate with us there.
Charles D was in ours.
Charles D, yep.
Shout out to that. That dude is crushing it.
I'm trying to think about everyone. Yeah, that's wild. And then all the old dogs, not the old dogs, but the ones that have been in Cosmic or been with them for forever. It's like Kenny and Tim and all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, it's fucking wild.
Now, you know, I can say back when I was in college and just coming out of college, you know, before I got clean and, you know, wasn't drinking and shit anymore. There were a lot of times where it's smaller venues and they're bars and stuff where you're hired to do top 40, but I was the guy that wanted to play EDM. And so like I was, because now if I go back and I visit, you know, Westchester and those bars and stuff, they're all playing what I wanted to play, you know, back then and stuff.
Behind the times.
Yeah. So like they were on we want to play, you know, the top 40 stuff. And I was like, but this stuff is the dance music. Like this is what we need to be playing. And
yeah.
But I was getting messed up at those gigs a lot and trying to, you know, get more free drinks and more, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like I was there for the right reason was that like I loved DJing and I was so passionate about it and I wanted to do that. But the cloudiness of the party.
Yeah.
Did
you ever make your way into Connecticut?
No, it was, it was Westchester, Pennsylvania, not Westchester, New York.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
So Westchester, Pennsylvania is about 45 minutes south of Philly. So I had the gigs in Westchester and then eventually like broke out into the outskirts of Philly and then finally had like a residency in Philly at this place called McFadden's. It was like a Temple University bar, or that's what it was closest to, was Temple University. And
gotcha.
And then took a break from music and cleaned up my act a little bit. And then finally, you know, at 10 months clean, like actually went to a festival and had this like beautiful experience all clean. And I was like, okay, I can do music. Like it was a really, like cause I was scared, you know, I get clean, like, oh, nobody's freaking, everyone that listens to dance music gets fucked up all the time. And and I was scared to go back to that environment and stay clean. And then finally, like I talked about it on another one of these podcasts that I did, but I finally went to Electric Adventure in Atlantic City and had this like moment when I was at Pretty Lights and hearing his, you know, performance and just being like, I made it through, he was the last of the day. So I made it through a whole day, you know, without getting messed up. And I was like, this is the drug. Like the music is
sure. Yeah. That's euphoric enough,
you know? So the stuff that I regret is that I think I probably stepped on the wrong toes when I was, you know, partying and, you know, partying my ass off.
Sure. Yeah.
And stuff. And, like if I hadn't, I might be able to sustain myself with, you know, 3 gigs a week and pay the bills that way. But I'm very happy with the job working at a drug and rehab facility, giving back to, you know, like what was done for me at these places and just trying to give my experience and showing them like when you do what you love, like you set your soul on fire in a so different way and you give yourself these goals and aspirations and the person you become is so, it's you, like it's the person you really were meant to be. Like when in my experience, like I was running away from me for so long and to finally realize that like my friends that stuck around, that when I got clean, like it's because they liked me for me. It wasn't, you know, the party animal that I was, and I still am that party animal, and now I'm clean, and so I can actually you know, coherent and remember the whole party and I'm not making an ass of myself and trashing the place and you know, so it's the life lessons that were learned, but I didn't get to, you know, a place that I was like in front of, you know, these crazy big people and blew a chance that could have changed my career. So maybe I'm blessed because I wasn't big enough to have that kind of moment until, you know, hopefully, you know, I continue on this path and doing what I'm doing. And the doors open and stuff. But is there anything that you did that you regret?
Oh, I didn't mean for that question to be thrown back at me. That was a strictly
question. Yeah.
You don't gotta examine me and my history. No, I don't know. I haven't even thought about it. I mean, it didn't have to be so deep. I didn't mean like a regret. I'm just thinking of like, you know, you get those life choices that you can go fucking left or right. You know, take the red pill or the blue pill, and it kind of like completely morphs to your next 5 years or fucking 10 years, whatever you want to talk about. And you're like, what, you know, you got to acknowledge, you know, what those points are and why you made the decisions, you know, that brought you to where you are now. Happy or not happy, you know, you've made decisions that brought you here, and were they good ones or bad ones. And I think acknowledging if they were good or bad helps you in your decision making in the future. Like, oh, back there, I should have stayed in Houston instead of go to LA. But now that I have this opportunity to do this, do I want to change my decision kind of thing? So I don't know. I definitely think that I'm glad I'm not touring for other artists anymore, because it was like, how do I say this? It was like being a drummer and musician myself. I was super happy working for another drummer and working for another band, but it was always hurting my self-esteem in a sense where I should be on stage performing always, you know? So, and I love my boys, dude. I still talk to a lot of them. I still talk to Jake from Mayday. I still talk to Jake from 4 Year and fucking the guys in Sleep with Sirens. I talk to all my bands and we're friends. But at the end of the day, I was an employee. I was hired by their band to help them, you know? And and that dynamic is sick. And a lot of times artists will keep themselves up here and you're the fucking crew and you're at the bottom of the barrel. And then other artists will be like, band and crew are here and you guys are all homies on the road. And so, and that all depends on how big the artist is, how much you're getting paid, the kind of venues there are. Like, you know, like when I was working for 30 Seconds to Mars, clearly Jared Leto and Shannon are on private planes. They do their own thing. I never see them unless we're on stage, you know, so it doesn't make sense for them to be on the same level as the crew. But when we're in Europe with Sleeping with Sirens and we all go out for a beer, we're all fucking homies. You know what I mean? But I guess not a regret, but I'm happy that I'm not doing that because it's very easy. Like there's touring guys that are 50, 60 years old that are lifetime crew guys that are doing front of house and the lights and the engineering and the monitors and all kinds of different things. And you get paid well, but I've seen a lot of touring guys that are like great singers. Or I've seen touring guys that are great guitar players and they get sucked into the paycheck or the traveling or whatever have you. And they don't pursue their own aspirations. You know, that's what I was doing. I was a year and a half in, 2 years of touring, doing great. And then I was like, I have not made any music for myself. I have not grown Dylan Taylor. I've you know, grown my bank account and I've traveled, which is sick. But now it's time for me to take a step back and do that. And so that was a big turning point for me 3 years ago, to be like, take a pay cut, take a travel cut, sit at home, which is still awesome. I still have my dogs and my wife, but like I'm in one spot now and I got to focus on something that's harder to do, building myself, you know? So I like that. And don't get me wrong, I still work for bands, you know, before the quarantine. I worked for a band called Bleachers that does like festivals and does like a more rock oriented thing. And I'll do like one-offs here and there, which kind of keeps me sharp, you know?
Yeah.
So I've done like 6 or 7 shows with them where I fly in, do a show, fly home, and it's easy. You know, I get paid. I get to see some new guys, still get like my chops up when it comes to the big festival world and teching, and then I come home, you know. But yeah.
Hell yeah, man. There's I guess the whole looking back and seeing the defining moments things, I mean, the biggest things for me that I can really say that I'm happy that I did what I did was, of course, you know, getting clean. Like none of this happens without me getting clean and
For sure.
and changing my life with so much help. Like it wasn't like, oh, I did this all on my own, and you know what I mean? Like there's so many people that I still talk to this day, and that, you know, I'm still active in Narcotics Anonymous and whatnot, and there's so much support through there, and I'm able to give back that way and with my job, and but the getting clean, then taking Cosmic, and then 2 years ago quitting my job, that was like the career was taking up so much time that I wasn't able to build a music career. I was going towards that. So like, I'm very happy with those, you know, 3 choices. There hasn't been a moment that like I wish I changed that could have, you know, had a trajectory, you know, one way or another. The only thing that I wish I could have done differently was maybe start, you know, with music sooner. But like I don't want to change that because my health and coaching and degree and all the sports that I had in my life, like that part of it has been, it's a part of me, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
become a part of my brand. It's what I love to do. And from so much of what I've heard from people is like, you need to have something that's not music too, that you can focus on, that you can do like another hobby, to be able to take a step back from because I can get sucked into this computer and for long times and not remembering like why I'm doing this stuff, like my family and my friends and stuff that I want to be able to support and spend time with, it's
Yeah.
that's a big thing that brought a big part of what brought me to music, is that eventually, later on in life, doing this gives me the time and freedom to do what I want to do, all the things that I want to do. And most of what I want to do revolves around, playing shows and playing festivals. Like, yes, I want to do that, but I want to be able to support myself with music and,
Of course.
make it so that I can, do the traveling, do the stuff that I want, like with the people that I care about the most, not just because of music and stuff. So
Yeah, that's always at the core, always to be self-sustaining financially, emotionally, because if you don't have that, then all the extra shit, it doesn't really matter. That whole hindsight of like 2020 of, if I had a time machine, I'd go back and I would start music at a younger age and that kind of bullshit. And I totally agree with you. It doesn't make sense, and nor would it have been a beneficial change if you think about it. Like every stepping stone that I've had in my career with bands and traveling and stuff has led me to this. And had I gone back and let's say started producing on Pro Tools fucking 3, in whatever year that was out, it's like, then I wouldn't be doing the things that I was doing at that time that brought me to where I am now. You know what I mean? So like, let's say in the year, in 2000, when I was 11 or 12 years old, I was playing sports, I was learning competitiveness and learning these other character traits that, let's say if I had switched that out with music, I wouldn't have learned the other traits that I acquired by doing something else. So it's like, I think I started music and I developed in music and playing drums and touring and whatever at the right time for what made sense to me, right? Every relationship, every girl that was in my life, or I lived in New York, lived in Los Angeles, lived in Houston, those were all stepping stones to where I am now, and not to get, and I'm not the kind of Zen and yoga man that you are and that kind of thing, but that's the way I look at it, is like every little piece of myself that I've been able to uncover throughout this path of learning instruments and success and failures and EDM and the drum covers and the bands, everything that's fucking molded into this has brought me to fucking FaceTime with you for 3 hours. It has brought me here, in a great and beautiful way, talking about music, talking about growing up, and talking about the choices and the goals for the future. And it's an important awareness to have, because I feel like it's very easy for people to get arrogant and to get narcissistic about their music and their craft, and it's fucking hard. We see it in feedback all the time, where it's hard to tell somebody that something that they're creating they love is not the caliber that's going to get them the success that they want, and there's people that are going to crumble, people that are not going to like it, people that are going to be like, they're right, let me get better, and it's a tough thing to get criticism, and I feel like as musicians, as producers, as ourselves that have had some success and have had a lot more failures and success, we have the thick skin to be able to be like, cool, you're right that, my show was fucking shitty because I think it was shitty, or my song mix is trash because I know it's trash. Like, having that awareness, that humble mentality is fucking priceless. And I wouldn't have that had it not been for being arrogant years ago. You know what I mean? Being a fucking asshole from New York, which I still am, but it's totally toned down now. But like, I flaunted it with some thick fucking skin for sure. And coming now, I'm able to just kind of like, be a little more lighthearted and be more humble about my approach towards other people and criticism and music and all that kind of shit, you know? It's fucking weird. It's weird, man.
You know, you say you're not all zen and stuff, but
I'm not all Zen. No, man. I'm New York through and through.
but what you just said there is you know exactly what breathing, reflection, all that self-awareness that you have, like you said, only comes with time, and man, the growth that comes when you actually can take a step back and do that, and really look at your life and all the things that you've done and all the accomplishments, and definitely all the failures that we've had. When you can really take a look at that and reflect upon it, and you can really see the areas where we need work, and man, if you take a failure and you dwell on it instead of looking like how I can get better, like it'll kill you, and that part of it is so tough to get until you fail enough times and until you beat your head against the wall enough times to realize like that's the part where the growth happens, where the failures are what you need, because the successes, you look at the successes and says, what do I need to do better? It's like, no, I won that round. Like it was great. And the failures is where, like look at why it happened. And I'm not talking just like the failures on stage or the failures to get signed, I'm talking about with freaking relationships,
with life.
Man, with life and
life. Yeah. Like 5 years ago, I would, this whole Dylan Taylor girl thing, this whole like miscommunication of the Spotify thing. 5 years ago, I'd be way more pissed. And it's like the third time I would call her, I'd message her and be like, what the fuck are you doing? You're so stupid. I would unload on her because I'd be so frustrated. Mm-hmm. And that frustration is still in me. Like I'm still in here at my core that frustrated, but I'm not going to take it out on her or her manager. I gave her my phone number just now. We haven't been talking. We've all been talking via Facebook. I have her call me. I'd be like, hey girl, this fucking sucks for you as much as it does for me. And this does not help you at all when someone on your side fucks this up, you know? So it's like, we need to solve this because I have music coming out, you have music coming out, and we keep crossing the streams because they have the same fucking name. This is not going to help anybody. And I would never have that platonic, let's solve this problem approach if it had not been where I'm at now, you know, super grounded and married and have a house. 5 years ago, I'd have been like flagging her on Spotify, way more confrontational, and that isn't the right and healthy approach. You know, just like fucking dude, I always bring it back to Justin and Cosmic, dude, fucking shedding the love. And it's like being supportive and being helpful. And like maybe this person doesn't know how to release a song on Spotify, or her management doesn't know that there's different Spotify accounts to do. So it's like trying to shed the love and educate them and be like, yo, this is how it's done. You guys do this. That way it makes you all better for your releases, you know, that kind of thing. So that's the approach I'm going to take, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Hey, man. Yeah. If there's no negatives that can come out of like approaching it the way that you just said, like being nice and understanding and helping, right?
Yeah.
There's only negatives that can come out of, there's only the ego can be fed by lashing out at them and saying, you guys should have known better and all this.
Yeah, like, then I'm the asshole. And then it's like, I don't know. I want to create that line of communication to where like, if there's a fucking problem, we can solve it together. Not like, uh-oh, I get him on Dylan Taylor's Spotify again. We're gonna have him fucking chew us out. You know, I don't want to be known as that.
And then that just your name is associated with a sour taste in someone's mouth and
yeah,
that's never, because who knows where this person could go, or the people that are working with her, where they can go.
Oh, dude, real quick, one last story, and then I got to mix this song before feedback, or else I'm not going to be able to get it done. I have a new song I'm going to bring to feedback. I got to get it done before 8. Talking about, like, you never know who's in the room, or never know, like, what leads to the next opportunity. Dude, the way I got 30 Seconds to Mars and drum teching, and, like, that was my first world traveling tour and, like, best paycheck ever. I literally – I did a Rocky Horror Picture Show as the drummer. So you know that show obviously, right? The movie Rocky Horror Picture Show with fucking Tim Curry, dude. What? It's an iconic pop culture, dude. Forget it. Just look up pictures of it. It's Tim Curry as a transvestite drag queen, super fucking charismatic, and also it's hard to explain. But anyway, it's like a cult classic essentially from the 80s or 90s, whatever it is. And it's like drag queens, and there's sing-along songs, and it's like a musical. Anyway, we did like a live performance of it in LA. That like me and a bunch of like actors, and like we did like a little like stage performance. And so, dude, I'm in a fucking dress. I'm in full drag, makeup, wig. I'm the drummer, and there's other guitarists that are also in drag. We're like the backing band, and we're playing. It's a musical, so we're playing the songs. Anyway, I did that for free. And my buddy Russell that played bass, like, hey man, I need a drummer. I want you in on it. Can you cross dress and do this? I was like, fuck yeah, it's gonna be fun. I don't give a shit. The drum tech for 30 Seconds to Mars, his name was Taylor, was in the crowd that night that knew Russell, and I was like, oh, the show was great, cool, blah blah blah. A month goes by, and Taylor tells Russell and says, hey, I can't work for Mars anymore. I'm going to work for Katy Perry or someone of that caliber. I need someone to take over Mars for me. Do you know a drummer that you can recommend? Russell recommends me. And like, oh, I saw that guy play. He was in the fucking blue dress. He was fucking great drummer, cool. And so that connection with Taylor, with Russell, with me in a dress, got me the interview with Taylor. Taylor put me in with Shannon Leto. I went to fucking Soho House, private fucking bar club thing, restaurant, met with Shannon, and I got the gig. But it was like that show I did for free in a very obscure way, like 50 people in the crowd, like a shitty stage, did this thing. And it was like that domino effect got me to this opportunity, got me to Mars. And then once you have Mars on your resume, every other gig is easy when it comes to teching, because now you can do anything essentially. So, and I look back on that of like you said, you don't know what kind of bridges that burns. You don't know what kind of bridge that also creates. Yeah. So like, what if I curse out Dylan Taylor, this girl, and then her manager has an affiliation with Island Records that I'm trying to pitch to, and he's like, no, fuck that guy. He burned my artist. And it's like, the music industry is that connected. It's fucking scary.
Yeah.
How like someone, for all I know, Dylan Taylor's dad could be the A&R at Universal, or in which case she should be signing Universal.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like that her uncle could be married to the daughter of this fucking artist, and then related to Lord, and it's wild, and you never know who you're talking to, and you have to approach it like that. Not in the sense of like oh, I might get something out of this person, but more of like you don't know who you're talking to, in a sense where like this industry is so well connected that you could burn a bridge just as easily as you can build one, you know?
Hell yeah, man.
And that's how I learned that at a younger age of like, sometimes you got to play in a dress to get the next opportunity, dude.
And on that note,
I was a pretty girl, man. I'll send you some pictures. I was a pretty fucking girl, man.
Well, you're a pretty damn good looking man, so
translates per gender, I guess, you know.
Yeah, and blonde, so like every chick is better in blonde. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, that is a great place. Thank you, Dylan, so much for coming on to the Free Yourself podcast, the new and improved Free Yourself podcast. I know how crazy a time we're in, and it thank you so much for spending time with me and doing this and everything. Everybody, Dylan, let them know where to find you on everything.
Sure, man. All my Instagram stuff is Dylan Taylor Drum. All my drum videos, all my new artwork, all that stuff's gonna be on there. You can also YouTube a lot of my videos. You just type in Dylan Taylor, normally drum cover or anything like that. You'll find a lot of my content there. And then, yeah, I'm just gearing up for new music that should be out soon, that I'm going to start pushing out. And, this time flew by. Fucking thank you for having me. It was great talking about music and reminiscing and brainstorming and all these fun things. And it's awesome. So thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm going to get back on that grind, and I'll see you at Feedback in 3 hours, 2 hours, whatever.
Hell yeah, man. When you're all set for your next release and stuff, we'll have you back on here and try and get you a little bit more promotion.
Yeah, right. Dude, that'd be great.
All right, love you, brother. Thank you so much, everybody out there. Peace, love, unity, respect.
So zen. So zen. Peace.
Love you, fam. Peace out.